I don't trust people anymore, not because I hate them, but because every single fucking hand I held eventually dropped me. I showed up when it was uncomfortable, when it was heavy, when nobody else wanted the responsibility. I stayed loyal, stayed patient, stayed silent, and still got left like my effort never mattered. People love you when you're useful, but the second you need them, they vanish without explanation. Look at me, that shit changes you, because you realize trust isn't rare, consistency is. I didn't become guarded for no reason. I became guarded after being dropped too many fucking times. Every promise that broke, every silence that followed taught me exactly how people really move. So if I don't trust people anymore, understand, this isn't bitterness, it's survival.
Get your life, get your life, get your life, baby. I got mine, why you could serve my mind, baby. Feeling me, that's why they killing me, lately. Get your life. Get your life, get your life, get your life, baby. I got mine, why you could serve my mind, baby. Feeling me, that's why they killing me, lately. Get your life. Run up when you see me, no disguises. Keep that thing with me, cause I don't do surprises. J. Chanel, show and tell, all facts, no lies, trick. Get your life, cause I'm the type that come through with that 9 quick. Eyes on me, what you care for? Watching me, baby, care for. If you ain't a fan, where the cameras? Hide in the back with the bellboys. My circle so restricted. Hands raised like it's your religion. When I sleep, pay close attention. Fake friends out here pretending. Get your life, get your life, get your life, baby. I got mine, why you could serve my mind, baby. Feeling me, that's why they killing me, lately. Get your life. Get your life, get your life, get your life, baby. I got mine, why you could serve my mind, baby. Feeling me, that's why they killing me, lately. Get your life.
Focus there.
Watch them cause they after me like a pot of gold. I'm not for play, ask Keisha if you don't know. I'm a little bit cray-cray, approach me, you better be right. If you don't come correctly, you can catch these cans tonight. Eyes on me, what you care for? Watching me, baby, care for. If you ain't a fan, where the cameras? Hide in the back with the bellboys. My circle's so restricted. Hands raised like it's your religion. When I sleep, pay close attention. Fake friends out here pretending. Get your life, get your life, get your life, baby. I got mine, why you could serve my mind, baby. Feeling me, that's why they killing me, lately. Get your life.
Get your life.
Get your life, get your life, get your life, baby. I got mine, why you could serve my mind, baby. Feeling me, that's why they killing me, lately. Get your life.
Get your life, boo.
Good morning, good evening, good night, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's your nighttime, right time DJ Music, and welcome to another episode of The Chop Shop. If you've been living under a rock for the last 24 hours, you know what you see on the screen right there, Karmelo Anthony. If you don't know, he was convicted yesterday by a jury of his peers and the stabbing death of Austin Metcalf at a track meet almost 2 years ago. Now, some people say that the justice wheels of justice weren't correct. Uh, that the mother of justice was pulling the blinds down to see who she was about to, dare I say, judge. Um, this is a touchy subject here, ladies and gentlemen, because again, you have to look at it like this: someone lost their child. Someone is going to lose their child. Austin Metcalf, unfortunately, he's no longer with us. It does matter what we think, there, Juice. It does matter what we think, because they made what happened in the trial for the last couple of days and last couple of weeks. It may not affect us now, but who knows when it's going to come up again, Juice? Who knows when the wheels of justice will spin in the wrong direction? I'm not here to cast disparaging or judgment against the wheels of justice, but what I will say, I will bring out some ideas of how some people will look at the two-tiered justice. Hey there, ABT, how you doing? Hey, Shar. Hey, the Atlanta Love. Hey, who else is up off in here? Mark Oliver. I'm not sure about what you meant by that comment, sir, but I'll let it go at that. But either way, it's a sad day on both sides for the family of Karmelo Anthony, as well as the family of Austin Metcalf. I don't know what it would be like to lose a child, especially to lose a child at the hands of someone else. Now, for those of you who have listened to me before, you've heard me say on several occasions, discretion be the better part of valor from time to time. Should young Karmelo Anthony have used discretion? Some say yes. Some say he was a child and wasn't aware of what discretion meant, or wasn't aware of what would happen, or the outcome of what could be. But then we look at a case down here in South Carolina of a grown man chasing a teenager outside of a door, outside of a store, shooting him in the back, go to trial, and then found out guilty. And that's why a lot of people are saying that there's this two-tier of justice when it comes to folks like Mr. Chow and then young Karmelo Anthony. Again, I don't know why anyone thought that Karmelo Anthony, right, wrong, or different, should not have been held to be paid for what he did. He took someone's life. And some say that the charges and the amount of time that he got was a bit excessive. Well, what's excessive when you take someone's life? Whether you mean to do it or not. So I will say this: it's not about the actions of what happened. It's the overall effect of now what's going to happen to the rest of us, and how we're going to look at this going forward. There's families that's going to be involved in this. Okay, say Karmelo, he's 19 now. 19, and he's got 35 years. So at best, with good behavior and all these other things, might be out by the time he's 50. Imagine how much he's going to lose in those 50 years. A lot of people are coming in saying he deserved what he got. And everybody has an opinion about this. But what I don't understand is the opinions of some folks that I've seen that has this kid dressed up in wigs, saying that he's going to be summarily raped, and wishing all these bad things, saying that if he did a crime, he got what he deserved. If he killed this kid intentionally, he got exactly what he deserved. There's no sympathy from me in that. But again, I'll have to look at this, what they call this two-tier justice. How some man can run out of his store, chase someone down, shoot them in the back, and not held responsible for it. He gets to go home. And I'm not defending either one, but they both went up supposedly against the jury of their peers. So you can't tell me that justice is not blind. And then let's talk about Karmelo Anthony a little bit and the defense team that he had. Why And this, if his parents or any of his other folks ever hear this particular stream, I'll have to ask you, why would you choose to have someone that's been convicted of a heinous crime anywhere near you or this trial? Now ask all the other black folks that's always want to jump up and say we're being mistreated. When are you going to do something about it? When are you going to sit around and say it's time for us as a black community to become down and collective and look at this thing they call justice and see what we can do to see if we can get some of these justice to swing in our favor? No, and you're right. Again, I'm not justifying what Karmelo Anthony did, so I don't want anyone to take that. I do believe that Karmelo Anthony, whether he was 17 or whether he was 15 or whether he was 25 or whether he was 45, you took someone's life and you need to be held accountable for that. You absolutely do. But again, this business of this whole blanket, because of one black kid did something, that does not encompass the entire black community, what some people have seemed to say. Because of what Mr. Anthony did, that's a reflection on all the black community. Wrong answer. Ain't that right, Candy Cane Lane? And that's myself. What's up there, Mr. Garcia? How y'all folks doing? Thank y'all for coming in. Stone Flare, thank you for coming in. I don't know why he took his life, Stone Flare. To be quite honest with you, want my honest opinion, I don't think he meant to take his life. Did he meant to do some harm to him? I'm sure he did. And I'll say this again, discretion be the better part of valor. In this situation, I think young Anthony was in a no-win situation. And I was speaking with someone earlier that said maybe if he would have just walked away or ran away, the situation would have been a little bit different. He would have been able to use the self-defense. But I want y'all to remember something. The day this happened, when they walked up to young Anthony, he said he did it. Said there's no need to look for anyone else. I'm guilty. Hey there, El Boogie, how you doing? Welcome in, thank you. I'm guilty. So the kid kind of shot himself in the foot. Not to mention that also with the defense team that he had. And I'll show you exactly what I mean here. So let's get to our first clip there, ladies and gentlemen. Again, some of the streamers that I use, you might not have heard of them before, but I wanted to go get some people that I don't know and some of you folks don't know. And that way you can get a better understanding of where I'm coming from and what I'm talking about and why some folks think that Karmelo didn't get a fair trial, while some folks think that Daniel Chow should be in jail, why some people think that there's a two-tier justice. But let's go with this one first. Let me take this off the screen. Let's see where we at here. Let me get this off the screen here. Turn the background music down just a little bit. And let's go with this first clip.
Defense's side of this case, and it started a few business days ago. Hi everybody, it's me, AV. Welcome back to my YouTube channel where we talk about all things law, true crime, and a little bit of debauchery. The Karmelo Anthony murder trial is moving in lightning speed, super fast. The prosecution rested their case, and now the defense is building theirs. We're inside of the defense case right now, and what I want to talk you through exactly is what's happening in that Collin County courtroom. Because
Okay, let me address this comment here first. Again, you know, I heard a lot of people talking about the case here in South Carolina, but you have to understand something. If you go back and look at the totality of Mr. Chow, this is not the first time he's either pointed a gun at someone or threatened to shoot someone. I think that should have had a lot to play with in the juries, which in the trial itself. It wasn't a question of who was on the jury, regardless of whether the jury was black, white, brown, green, or yellow. The fact of the matter is, I think there's some information that should have came out about that trial that did not come out about in that trial. And I think if it would have, the outcome would have been a little different. Don't you think so, Rudy?
Cameras are not allowed inside. My name is AV. I'm a JD and a legal commentator. I've been following this case since the arrest report dropped, and today we're going straight to the reporters who are actually in that room. Let's get into it. As you all know,
Okay,
if you've
before
been
we get
following
into
this
it,
case, then you
let's
know
let's
that it
address
is
this
super.
comment. Someone explain to me what hood mentality is. Which hood are you referring to? BPD, Bob? Which hood are you referring to? Are you referring to the hoods in New York, or are you referring to the hoods in West Virginia? Are you referring to the hoods in San Francisco, or are you referring to the hoods in Georgia? Because there's hoods everywhere. Again, some people have this mentality, and I'll use your word, of thinking that hood only puts black people on your radar. There's hoods all over the world. White hoods, brown hoods, red hoods. So which hood are you speaking of, sir?
Charged right now. In fact, that is why I stayed away for a few days. I had to regroup after seeing some of these comments. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, we went live last week to go through the arrest documents together and see what the background behind this case was. Quick reminder of where we are legally. Karmelo Anthony is charged with first-degree murder in the death of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. The incident happened in April of 2025 at a stadium in Frisco, Texas during a high school track meet. Under Texas law, first-degree murder carries between 5 to 99 years or life in prison. Karmelo's defense
And now we know that Carmela got sentenced to 35 years.
is self-defense. Under Texas law, a person is justified in using force against another when they reasonably believe that that force is immediately necessary to protect themselves.
Now let's take that for instance right there. This thing that they called stand your ground or self-defense. Now I've heard so many people saying that, well, Austin should have walked away. Okay, say he didn't walk away. In this case, we know he did not walk away. So ask yourself, when is the time to decide to defend yourself? Is it before you get beat up, while you're getting beat up, or after you get beat up? Now we're asking at this point in time, we're asking a 17-year-old to make that decision. Think about this, a 17-year-old to make a decision whether he thought there was some bodily harm about to come to him. We all been in high school. And I'm not saying anything derogatory against the Metcalf family, but we've all been in high school. And we've all known that there's folks that walk around that will bully other students. And we've heard other folks say that Austin and his twin brother were a bit of bullies. So I'll ask you, put yourself in young Anthony's shoes for a minute. What would you have done? I see someone says he shouldn't have brought a knife to school. Well, down here in South Carolina and Texas and North Carolina and Georgia, I don't think you can find too many people walking around without a pocket knife. I know I carry one, but that's basically for what I do. I need a knife from time to time. So I don't think it's uncommon, especially down here in the South or in Texas, to find someone with a pocket knife.
The key word there is reasonably. What would a reasonable person have done in that situation? That is what this jury has to decide. The prosecution has rested their case. That means they believe that they presented enough evidence to prove first-degree murder beyond a reasonable doubt. Now the defense gets their turn. And what they're doing in that courtroom right now is fascinating from a legal standpoint. Let's go to the reporter side. Picking it up with JD Miles. He is a reputable reporter in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Looks like he has some roots in Plano as well. We're going to pick it up after opening arguments, okay? This is the first time I'm seeing this, and we're all going to read it together. First tweet, June 4th. Jury in the Karmelo murder trial is about to watch surveillance video for the stadium in Frisco that recorded the fatal stabbing that's been digitally enhanced by an expert.
Okay.
The video is going to
Well, let me just say this. Aaron Farsing, yeah, you say you think I'm grasping at straws. What straws am I grasping at? What straw are you referring to? Am I not talking about exactly what went on? What straws am I grasping at? And am I bringing something new to the table that you have never heard before? Did Carmelo Anthony take Metcalf's life? Yes, he did. Did Carmelo Anthony go through a trial? Yes, he did. Did he get summarily convicted? Yes, he did. So what straws am I grasping at, Aaron? What straw?
be shown on 4 screens in the courtroom. Next, jurors are about to watch the original unadulterated video before they watch the enhanced version. The video shows a wide shot of about half of the outdoor high school stadium from the middle of the football field to the parking lot behind the end zone. You could see the tents in the top right corner on the other side of the field that were put up in the lower bleachers. Prosecutors have zoomed in where Carmelo enters the stadium and
Okay, again, there's going to be folks that's going to come in here, ladies and gentlemen, that's not going to agree with me. And that's fair. You don't have to agree with everything I say. I'm not here for everyone to agree with me. I'm sure there's going to be some opposing views. I'm sure there's some people that's going to think that I'm here in behalf of or trying to diminish what Carmelo Anthony did. I'm not trying to diminish what he. I'm just giving an alternative idea of what maybe should have been done. Now, again, I'll go back to the opening statement. Discretion be the better part of valor. Did Carmelo Anthony use discretion 2 years ago? I don't think he did. But I got to give him some grace because at 17, who uses discretion? Unlike Daniel Chow, a grown man. No one says he should have used discretion before he shot that kid in the back. Everybody's talking about the kid shouldn't have been in the store stealing. That's what I'm talking about, this two-tier of justice. You folks come in here trying to tell me about the shit that's already going on. Like we don't see the fact that one man killed someone, shot him in the back, and another kid killed someone because he thought his life was in some kind of jeopardy or he thought some kind of harm was going to come to him. He wasn't supposed to have that same freedom as Daniel Chow did. I heard someone said white tent only. Well, where's the white tent only in the color? He was at a sanctioned track meet where everyone is allowed to come. Now, you didn't hear me say anything bad about the Austin family. You didn't hear me say anything about the Carmelo's family. But I guarantee you, if you click on some of these other streams, you will hear people talking about this kid like he was a long time career criminal. You will hear people talking about the two other kids like they were long time bullies. Has nothing to do with what I'm talking about here. We're talking about the justice system and how we as Black folks think that sometimes justice is blind. If you don't want to hear that, I suggest you pack your shit up and leave. Because I've been around this earth a lot longer than some of y'all folks. And you're not going to tell me there's been cases where there's people, who's the most exonerated group of individuals in the United States? Black folks. What's exonerated mean? That means they got in trouble for something. They clearly didn't do it. And it took them years and years and years to figure out that they didn't do it. So miss me with that.
a gray sweatsuit near Memorial High School tent that about 15 students are sitting and standing under. Jurors have watched the first 5 minutes of the surveillance video of the scene before the stabbing. Students gathered under a yellow canvas with the Memorial High logo that's over the bleachers near the field. Just after 10 a.m., there was some pushing amongst individuals under the back of the tent, but it's...
Okay, I didn't expect this many comments, but Arthur, nobody else had a knife. You're reading between the lines. You were garbage. How do you know no one else had a knife? Did you go through every backpack there? Did you check everybody's pockets, Arthur? Do you know for a fact that no one else at that track meet that day had cleat sharpeners or pocket knives? Arthur, you don't know just like I don't know.
difficult to tell what happened. The camera is too far for the original video to determine. Suddenly, after some pushing, all of those under the tent scatter quickly. The video then shows Karmelo Anthony running out of the stadium less than a minute after the stabbing and into the school parking lot. Video from another camera shows Karmelo Anthony wearing a gray sweatsuit being chased while running near the edge of the stadium, and he is putting his hands up in the air before two uniformed police officers handcuff him and take him away. The jury is about to see an enhanced version of the video that focuses on the moments before and after the stabbing. Court has resumed and the jury...
Okay, let's stop with this. You come in here with the name guilty of being right. Well, in this case, sir, you're guilty of being wrong, because nothing about that said cold-blooded murder. Nothing. Nothing about this case said Karmelo Anthony walked up to Austin Metcalf and in a fit of rage and a fit of I don't like you, decided to take that kid's life. Hey there, Genesis. How you doing? Welcome, Will. Welcome in. Thank you so very much. I have something that I want to, I have a stream, Genesis, that I would like to cover with you. I'm not sure if you have my email or not, but it's in kind of reference to what you were talking about yesterday. So I'll drop the link down into you sometime this weekend, and we'll have a conversation about the conversation that you was having yesterday. All right.
In the Karmelo Anthony murder trial is about to see digitally enhanced video from a surveillance camera that has never been released to the public. Judge is only allowing it to be shown on one monitor to the jury, but those of us on the left-hand side of the courtroom will be able to see it. Jurors have finished watching the enhanced security videos during the Karmelo Anthony murder trial, but so far, these new magnified videos, which have never been viewed by the public, still do not produce a clear visual of what happened under the tent in the bleachers of the stadium where Austin was fatally stabbed. You can tell there was a pushing, but it's mostly obscured by other people in front of the defendant and Austin. Karmelo Anthony's defense attorney, Toby, is cross-examining the video analysis expert who magnified security camera videos that recorded the scene of the fatal stabbing. Quote, "You really can't tell what people are doing under that tent, can you?" "Yes, sir. There's really no way to determine when an argument starts or stops, is there?" "No, sir." So that...
Well, there you go right there, Linda K. Video don't lie. There was so much evidence. Well, you just in that instance right there, even though there was video, some folks were saying throughout the chaos, we really still don't know what's going on. Even with all the video evidence out there, there's still people out there that's unsure of what happened under that tent. And we, in all our glory here on YouTube, not being in Frisco, Texas at the time, all of us have an opinion of what happened, what was there. But there's only a select amount of few people, I don't know, maybe 20, 30, how many people was under that tent that really know the story. And then if we narrow it down a little bit further, we can narrow it down to 3 people that can tell us, well, 2 of them can really tell us the entire story, and unfortunately, Austin can't. But the other twin, and Karmelo Anthony, those 2 know the real story. Everybody else is speculating. If this was an open shut case, then why even go to trial? If everybody's opinion about this matter, why even take it to trial? I think there was a lot of things done wrong in the trial. But again, that's where the appeal process comes in at. Doesn't it? That's what the system is for. Appeals.
That is a portion of that cross-examination. We also have video here. Demonstrations continue outside Collin County Courthouse where the murder trial is happening. Prosecutors have called the Memorial High School track coach to testify. Austin was on the school's track team competing in a meet when he was killed. Next, we go to the next day.
Okay, let me stop this. The man with the face. Hopefully he gets his O-ring flexed in prison. Why would you want that to happen to anyone, sir? Why would you want a man or a kid to be raped in prison? If he committed a crime, let him do his time. Why is it necessary for someone to go to prison and be summarily raped? Why is that? Why would you wish that on him? Did Karmelo do something personally to you? Did he do something personally to your family? I can understand people in that other circle of family saying stuff like that. But you, sir, the man with the face, you don't know them people. You don't know the Anthonys. You don't know the Metcalfs. So why would you wish more hell on Karmelo Anthony? Why would you? You don't think at 19 years old, that's not going to be enough to be in jail looking at you? You're going to possibly be 45, 50 years old before you get out. You think they need to heap some more on his thin shoulders? Y'all are grown men in here speaking like this. I hope none of y'all go to jail. I hope no one that's close to you never commits a crime and ends up in jail. So they can tell you the horror story, how they are, as in the words of Cat Williams, protect that virgin whole.
Testimony is about to resume. I'm in the courtroom and we'll be posting updates. Let's skip that. The first prosecution witness for the next day is Neil Adams, a Frisco firefighter who responded to the scene of the fatal stabbing. When he arrived, he said Austin's pupils were dilated. He was gray, no respirations, and he did not have a pulse. So it looks like this first responder found him dead at the scene. The next witness was a Frisco police officer, Eduardo Cortez. And if you guys remember...
Okay. Let me stop again. I'm going to sooner or later, I'm going to stop being friendly. Stone, what's that? Stone, L.A. Flair, whatever the fuck your name is, you can't spell. What did I misspell, sir? It says you can't spell, first of all, and looked like Austin got the chair before Karmelo. Again, were you there? And what does a misspelled word have to do anything with Austin or Karmelo? What does a misspelled word have to do anything with this trial that we're talking about? Go somewhere else. Go find some place to go drop some nasty grams at, okay?
You watched with me, Mr. Cortez, or Officer Cortez was the main officer, the first account that was given in that report telling us what occurred when he responded to the scene. He testified that he arrested Karmelo at the stadium near the scene of the stadium. I had the suspect raise.
And this is one of the problems that I'm having right here. I hate to keep stopping this like this, but again, I have to address some of these comments. This was from Aaron. It says, no, it ain't got anything to do with agreement. The straws you are grasping at are when Melo defended himself. He should have probably left after he was asked 15 times. Well, let me ask you this, Aaron. Who asked him to leave? Was the person that asked Melo to leave a person in authority? No. What gave the Metcalfs the authority to tell Anthony that he did not belong there? What gave them that authority? Regardless of whether they told him 15 times, 3 times, 2 times, or 100 times, what gave them the authority to tell that child or that kid in an sanctioned event that he could not be there, he was under the wrong tent, when there's clearly other adults around that could have handled that situation? Why did Austin and his twin brother and the 2 other young kids that walked up to Anthony, why did they decide it was incumbent upon them to correct Karmelo Anthony when there's other people around for that? I'm just asking you a question. What made him the person to say you're in the wrong place?
His hands in the air. I gave him instructions. I patted him down for any weapons. I advised that I had the alleged suspect detained in handcuffs. Karmelo replied, according to the officer, "I'm not alleged. I did it. He put his hands on me. I told him not to." Prosecutors are now about to show the jury video from his body cam. Now remember, some of these officers did not have their body cams fully functioning, where there are pieces of things. I don't think Officer Cortez was one of them, but just pointing that out. Let's keep going. Prosecutors are showing the body cam worn camera from first responding officers who arrested Karmelo Anthony. For the first time, the jury hears a defendant speak. 4-minute body cam was played. Officer encounters Anthony, handcuffs him, sits him down before going through his pockets and frisks him. You can hear Anthony sounding like he's sobbing
Okay, here's another
and
one.
crying.
I hate to have to keep addressing these comments. And listen, I'm trying to be fair, and I don't want to kick anyone out of my live stream, because everyone has an opinion. But when your opinions come in like this, you don't leave me much choice. Okay. And it says that the kid was a murdering piece of blah, 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 blah. And they think that, listen, the other twin didn't take the stand either. Maybe the other twin could have added some clarity to what was going on. And according to the Constitution, you mad because you bad. You have the opportunity, or you have the right, to not take the stand because you don't want to incriminate yourself. Now, at 19 years old, do you think, and when you're at 19 years old, do you think you could stand up to the scrutiny of a grown man that's a seasoned prosecutor? You think you could stand up against that scrutiny? Okay, Big Red, I'm gonna get you out of here quick, because see, there's no sense in even addressing comments like this. Fuck on up out of here.
And saying as the officer walks him to the car, "I told him not to put his hands on me." He is then put into a patrol car and gives officers his name and spelling. Another officer's body cam records Anthony saying, after officer radios that he has the alleged suspect, "I am not alleged. I did it." Under cross-examination, Anthony's defense attorney asked the officer, "Do you remember him crying once you and the other officer are in the squad car? Did I see tears coming down his face? I can't testify to that because I didn't see his face. My description was based on the tone of his voice." Defense attorney did get the officer to admit on the stand that Anthony surrendered peacefully and complied with officers' commands on the body cam of the arrest. "He is not resisting, officer." "No." "He is not struggling, officer." "No." "Not continuing to run, officer." Jurors are getting their first look at the knife, and the prosecutors say Karmelo Anthony used to kill Austin. It's a 5-inch folding knife which had blood on it when it was photographed at the scene on the ground in the bleachers in the stadium. The jury is also seeing photos of Karmelo Anthony's backpack, which was near the knife at the scene and had been opened. Prosecutors have now
Again, the Mr. Broski, who was in charge. Are you talking about the 15 times that the other kids asked him to leave the tent? Again, some of the arguments that you folks are coming up here telling me that I'm grasping at straws. I'll say this one more time. If Karmelo Anthony was in the wrong place, if he was under the wrong school tent, the Austins, the 2 twins, and the other kids should have went to someone of authority, because they were all over the places. There was coaches, there was teachers, there were parents there. There were people all over the place that could have handled that situation. And again, I will say this one more time. Does Carmelo Anthony deserve some punishment? Yes, he does. Does he deserve 35, 40, 50 years in jails? That is not up to me to decide. According to the laws, he was found guilty by a jury of his peers. There's no debate for me from that. So any of you come up here that's talking about I'm trying to cover for the family, I'm actually more pissed at the family than I am at the other family. So don't come in here with that business. And you're right there, Atlanta. Everybody's always wanting to use this racial thing, race. Of course, there's I don't think there's too many things in the United States that won't, especially when it comes to disagreements about crime or whatever. I think that race will always be a part of it. But we can go back to politics, where race was definitely a part of how the Bushes got into office. We can go into politics and race and see how in the last election, well, race made a big difference. Some folks think that black folks only wanted to vote for Vice President Harris because she was black. And some people refused to vote for her because she was black. Not that she was any less qualified. It's simply because either she was a woman or she was black. So race will always, I hate to say this, but in the United States, race will always be a part of what we do and what we talk about. It's been around since I've been around.
Introduced the knife into evidence and the backpack. Now remember, when we were reading this last week, when we were reading the arrest report, we did see that the knife was, because of heavy rain, it was covered by tarp to preserve the evidence before it was bagged and tagged. And the backpack was interestingly noted to be used in that protective capacity to protect the knife. Jurors are now watching.
Well, again, Aaron, you seem to be my favorite person today. Let me just say this. Yes, there were indications that these two twins were bullies. Matter of fact, if you go back a couple years ago, one of the original interviews they did with the mother and the surviving twin, the mother kind of hinted to the two twins were bullies. That's not from me. And let me ask you this, Aaron. I don't know you. We're both 17 years old. We're both 16 years old. I don't know you, Aaron. You walk up to me, I'm sitting in the wrong place. You walk up to me and say, hey, you got to leave. How do you think I'm going to look at you? Or what do you think I'm going to say to you, Aaron? Who are you? Who are you to tell me I can't be here? Are you a teacher? Are you a faculty member? Are you a coach? Or you're just a kid like me? And when did I start listening to you? When did I start listening to you?
Watching an extremely graphic body cam video that shows paramedics applying CPR to try and save Austin's life, while you can hear students wailing and screaming inside of the stadium from a distance. Inside the courtroom, Austin's mother and father each have each other's family members wrapping their arms around them, and they all broke down in tears watching it. Karmelo Anthony is watching the video intently along with jurors. The video captures the chaos and uncertainty about what happened and why. For the first time, we are hearing from a state witness to the fatally stabbing of Austin Metcalf. He was there to run the race, so this sounds like another student. He described the scene as he was arriving at the stadium and who was there. He entered the Memorial High tent and says that he saw Karmelo inside. He testified that Karmelo was hanging out in the tent. I remember people confronting Karmelo and saying, you shouldn't be here. You probably should leave our tent. I also said you should leave. Prosecutor, was it aggressive? I don't think so. I remember it getting more aggressive. I remember Karmelo refusing to leave and Austin saying you need to leave and Karmelo saying, touch me and find out. Austin's track teammate says Karmelo was asked to leave about 15 times. Prosecutor, did anyone try to gang up on him? No, sir. Prosecutor, how long did this go on? Roughly 2 minutes. Prosecutor, was Karmelo angry? Yes, sir. Prosecutor, was Austin angry? Yes, sir. Karmelo started refusing to leave. Prosecutor, who was provoking? Karmelo. Austin leans in to push him and Karmelo stabs him. Karmelo had his hands inside a backpack and we all thought it was a bluff. He says he and others didn't believe Karmelo would do anything because they live in a safe community. Austin fell down in the bleachers onto his back and he got up. He lifted up his shirt where his chest was all bloody and he said, I think I got stabbed. Prosecutor, did he say anything? I think he said, oh my God. Prosecutor asking about Austin shoving Karmelo. I wouldn't say it was a light shove or a hard shove. I would say it was more of an in-between. Was Hunter involved in any of this? Answer, no.
And let me pause that right there. Mr. Broski, you're absolutely right. For those of you that ran track, you know, a cleat knife is not really to sharpen the cleat. It's more to get the dirt and the maybe loose rocks or something from out the cleat. So it stops with your traction. I never really ran track on a professional level, but I've been around enough people to know that that's why, because when you have the cleats, there's objects that get stuck in between the cleats. Just like in football and, you know, the different places where you wear cleats, there are some things that get stuck. So a lot of people will use the cleat to clean it off to make sure that there's no dirt in it. So they get the best traction that they can before trying to come out of a gate or shooting out of a gate or trying to run on maybe a grass turf or something like that. That's why you have some people that use this cleat. I don't think it's so much as to sharpen the cleats as it is to clean them. I could be wrong, but I don't think I'm too far off from the truth.
Witness recreates the movements before the fatal stabbing with defense attorney Toby Shook. He says Karmelo was seated with his backpack in his lap and his hand inside. Austin approaches and is right in front of him. Witness says Austin leans in and pushes Anthony by placing 2 hands on Anthony's shoulders. Anthony pulls a knife out of his backpack, gets up, pushes Austin while at the same time stabbing him in the chest. Austin falls back down on the bleachers. Tensions are running high outside of the Collin County Courthouse right now. This is currently happening where it looks like people are outside.
We know where y'all sat in the car and talked on the walkie-talkies. We already know what y'all got going on. Yeah, we already know y'all know the walkie-talkies. Hey, there they go again. There go Karmelo. Call the jump out, boys. What are you calling? Hey, they running up again. Yeah, we already. Hey, we know y'all taking. The gig is up. The gig is up. The gig is up.
If you got jumped out for people, what would you do? Would you defend yourself? Would you defend yourself? If 4 people was attacking you, what would you do? What would you do? Would you?
Okay, let me ask you this, Sugar Sandwich. You says he went there seething, waiting for a reason, them creating a situation that would give him a reason. Do you really believe that, Sugar Sandwich? Do you believe that a 17-year-old kid went to a track meet looking for a reason to do bodily harm to someone? Do you really believe that? Or are you just in here talking because you're with a group of people that really believe that this kid killed this other kid on purpose? Again, I'll say this. Does Karmelo Anthony deserve punishment? Yes, he absolutely, positively does. I won't need to go any further with that. But for the extent of what I see you folks coming in here talking about, he should be raped, that he should this and that and all of that, and he was crying. Grown men have cried in the court once they found out that their life is over.
Defend yourself. I want to know.
No, you're acting like an animal.
She ain't acting like an animal. She acting like a human being. She acting like a human being. Stop saying that shit. You don't look like an animal. You look like an animal. You look like an animal. How y'all feel now? How y'all feel? His brother didn't get rescued him. The teacher had to. His brother was looking at him down. You tell us we animals. Y'all know we're eating folks and shit.
Okay, let me stop right here. This is from Gordy LaChance. He says, imagine supporting a murderer now that a real Jedi, now that's a real Jedi mind trick. Okay, there, Gordy, give me some of America's heroes. John Dillinger, Bonnie and Clyde. Let's see. The list goes on of actual people that kill people for no reason, but you still hold them in high regard. I don't think you want to come in here with conversations like that, because I'm not one to let something like that slip. I'm not one to let someone like that slide by, because if you look at the overall picture of the United States of America, y'all heroes are either killers, murderers, con men, whiskey runners, philanthropists. I mean, folks like Trump. So don't come in here with that. Your history, the history of America tells me that some of y'all celebrate corruption, crime, and killers. Remember when Ted Bundy went to jail? There was white folks, white ladies that wanted to marry him in jail. So miss me with that.
Following day, June 6th. This looks like it went into
Okay,
Saturday.
Mr.
JD
Broski,
Miles reports.
let me ask you this then, Mr. Broski. It says, here you go. That's the comment. He says, murder is murder unless his life was at risk. There's no justification. He had zero marks showing no intimate threat. Well, did you not hear the threat? Did you not hear Austin Metcalf and other folks say, get out of here, leave? You're not supposed to be here. Did you not hear the other witnesses said that Anthony as well as Metcalf was upset with each other? Did you not hear any of that? So are we supposed to take that a 17-year-old can have that clear discernment of when to have the flight or flight risk? Is that what you're trying to say? You're right. Murder is murder. But that's why in the law, they have this thing called mitigating circumstances. That's why there's different levels to murder, sir.
More current and former high school students are taking the stand today in the Karmelo murder trial as a judge orders testimony on Saturday. But here, some of the back and forth Q&A with prosecutors and defense attorneys with those students. Prosecutor says, was there any reason you saw for Karmelo Anthony to stab Austin? Witness, no. Was Karmelo acting in self-defense? Witness, no. That's lethal force against non-lethal force. I would have objected. Defense attorney says, did you see Karmelo before? Witness, I don't remember. Defense attorney, do you...
Pause it again. Here goes another comment. I know you meant well here, Eddie Jones. I know you meant well by saying this comment, but sometimes the comments that folks say is just as racist or overtly racist as any comment that you could put down. Like this one. We got black people in our family, and they ain't even on this kind of crap. There are so many y'all looking like trash right now. It's just sickening. See, this is the problem. This is a problem that I'm having with some of y'all in the other communities. Somebody black does something, and that's supposed to be a reflection of everybody black. Would that go the same way for white folks? So which that should be the same way for me thinking about Daniel Chow. He was a Chinese man that killed a young black man. So I should look at all Chinese people in a fucked up way now? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Do you remember telling Detective Hunter popped in and defended Austin? Witness, yes. Defense attorney, do you remember your written statement saying Austin put his hand on his shoulder to intimidate? Witness, yes. More of a warning. Actions speak louder than words. Defense attorney, bigger build, Austin? Witness, yes. More broad. Defense attorney, he could look intimidating from his size, referring to Austin.
Uh, Yeah, Mr. Broski, I understand exactly what you're saying. There was a time to where you were fisticuffs and you came back a week later or 2 weeks later, you got teased or you got celebrated. Teased if you got your ass whipped, celebrated if you passed out the ass whipping. Am I wrong? That's how it should go. That's how it should have went in this particular track meet. That's how it should have went. There should have been two kids that didn't like each other, didn't know each other, but for some reason or the other didn't like each other. It's okay. They had a little fisticuff. One may have gotten a little bruised up. The other one may have gotten a little bruised ego or whatever. But at least both these kids would be around to tell the story. One is 6 feet under, and one, with all intents and purposes, is 6 feet under. He's in jail for almost the better part of his life. But I remember that time. I know I was in school. I had a couple fisticuffs while I was in school. Sure did.
Witness, sure, yes. Continuing on, another witness takes the stand. The 16-year-old boy who was a freshman at the time of the stabbing. He plays football and track. He helped set up the tent. Prosecutor, did you see anyone who didn't belong in the tent? Witness, he was from Centennial High School. We told him to leave multiple times. Prosecutor, is the expectation that other teams stay out of your tent? Witness, yes. Prosecutor, when you tell him to leave, what does he do? Witness, he doesn't leave. He gets angry and tries to provoke us, saying, make me leave. Prosecutor, was Austin or Karmelo instigating? Witness, Karmelo. Defense attorney, when Austin decided to push him out, how did he get to him? Witness, he walked over to him. Defense attorney, was Karmelo sitting down? Witness, I think so. Defense attorney, did he grab or push him? Witness, he pushed him on the shoulder area with both hands. Prosecutor, what happens next? Witness, Austin tries to force him out because we didn't have any other choice. Prosecutor, did Karmelo have his hand in his backpack? Witness, yes. Prosecutor, describe the push from Austin. Witness, a little push. Prosecutor, Austin meant a lot to you? Witness, yes. Prosecutor, have you been in counseling? Witness, yes. Prosecutor, it was Karmelo Anthony being stubborn, provoking. Witness, yes. Prosecutor, was it self-defense or murder? Witness, this was murder. Defense attorney, when it was raining, it was okay for him to be in the tent. Witness, yes. Defense attorney, once it stopped raining, he was asked to leave. Witness, yes. Shook is showing cardboard cutout of the layout. Witnesses saying where everyone was. Defense attorney, did he talk about what was in the backpack? Witness, he said there was something in there. Defense attorney, he said Eddie called Karmelo Mello. Witness, yes. Next up, we have another witness, a 16-year-old boy who has taken the stand, and he had just come onto the...
Okay, so let me ask those folks, and see some things that you have to listen to in order to get an understanding of it. Now, someone came in here and said they didn't know each other. If you don't know somebody, how would you call them by their name? Or how would you call them by their nickname if you don't know somebody? How would he know that his name is Karmelo Anthony and to call him Mello if they never had ever had any interactions in life? It's either that someone in that particular, under that tent knew Karmelo Anthony and called him out by name, or we have to assume that the Austin twins knew him as well. Because I don't go around calling people by their nicknames. Do y'all?
Memorial track before the district meet. Prosecutor, did you become aware of someone not on the team in your tent? Witness, yes, he sat next to me. Prosecutor, did this worry you, bother you, or seem kind of normal? Witness, it was kind of strange because everyone is supposed to be in their home tent. Prosecutor, what did Karmelo say? Witness, he said he wasn't leaving and says a profanity. Prosecutor, what did Karmelo do? Witness, he was starting to become more aggressive. Prosecutor, what does he say next? Witness, F you all, I'm not going to leave. You're a bunch of keywords. Prosecutor, did Austin...
Okay. I am so tired of you folks coming in here with this black fatigue business. The fuck is black fatigue? Are you tired of seeing black people? Close your eyes. Not going anywhere. Are you trying to come in here and say that black people commit more crimes in the United States than any other ethnic group? That's a farce. We know that's wrong. Now, if you came in and said that black people got convicted more of crimes, that would be true. But we don't commit more. We're exonerated more. I mean, exonerated means that someone said you did something and come to find out later on that you didn't do it. But there are statistics, Joseph, that just like you holler about black fatigue or anybody else that comes in here with black fatigue, you don't think black people got white fatigue? You ever thought of that? You ever thought that black people should use the word white fatigue sometime? And it's justifiable. You ever thought of that, Joseph? Or anyone else that comes in here with that black fatigue? Miss me again with that.
Take the lead. Witness, yes, Karmelo put his hand in his bag and said 5 times, touch me and see what happens. Austin says he's not going to touch this guy. He was calm. Prosecutor, what did you see during the stabbing? Witness, you saw one big hole and blood coming from his upper body. Prosecutor, at some point, did you decide to unfreeze and do something? Witness, yes, he had a knife. So we ran to the left side of the field. I heard Xavier say, Austin looks dead. Next, another student athlete. He knew.
No, Marco, no, I wasn't at the trial. That's why we're watching this, sir. So in the case of some facts or some things that I may misspeak on or speak wrong about, then that's why this is here. This is why I just don't come up here and just speak blindly. This is why I don't come up here and just offer up my opinion about how I feel about a situation. That's why I use other people's streams to give you an idea that there's more than one side of this than meets the eye. But some of y'all folks only want to come in here and look at it from the Karmelo Anthony side, and some of y'all only want to come in here and look at it from the Austin Metcalf side. And I'm right here in the middle trying to look at it at both sides. So it depends on when you come in here is when you're going to form your opinion of what I said and how I said it and why I said it. So let me say this one more time for the people in the back that can't hear me or don't understand what I'm saying is my problem is not the fact that Karmelo Anthony went to jail. Karmelo Anthony took someone's life. He should be punished for that. Absolutely. Could this situation have been avoided? I'll say this again. Discretion be the better part of valor. I have taught my children to use discretion in any situation, regardless of whether you are right or wrong. And you know how it works effectively? Because none of my 5 children have been in jail. And they're all boys. And they're always 17 at one time or the other. And I'm sure at one point in time, they have gotten to scrapes with classmates. But my children, my sons, use discretion, the better part of valor, to say, you know what? It's not worth what could happen. So I'm not up here defending Karmelo Anthony. I'm not up here saying that Austin Metcalf and his crew of ruffians were wrong. What I'm trying to do is point out the fact that this shit shouldn't have happened at all. And what I'm trying to do is show you the point and point out the fact to you that there is a 2-tier justice system by invoking what happened here in South Carolina to what happened in Texas. Here, you guys come in here expecting a 17-year-old this time to have discernment, but you don't expect the same thing from a 50, 60-year-old person with a gun. Let it make sense.
Karmelo and Austin. Prosecutor, what did you notice in the tent? Witness, Karmelo was there. I dapped him up. Prosecutor, did you talk? Witness just said hi. Prosecutor, did you think it was weird that he was in that tent? Witness, yes, because the teams are supposed to be at their own tent. Prosecutor, you can call him Mello? Witness, yes. Prosecutor, after you stopped talking to him, did you see any other teammates talk to him? Witness, yeah. Austin said, who are you? Prosecutor,
And one more thing, see, again, I hate to have to keep stopping this, but for all you Chud the Builder fans that come over here, why don't y'all go put some money on his books? Why don't y'all go over there and talk about? See, this is the point that this is what I'm talking about. What the fuck does Chud the Builder have to do with this conversation? Why would you even invoke him in this conversation? That a grown man, a 28-year-old grown man walking around making a conscious decision to fuck with people, but then you're going to come in here and try to invoke this to two teenagers. Chud the Builder is getting everything he deserves. And since y'all want to talk about Karmelo Anthony that might get grape, guess what? Chud the Builder was getting it up their ass for free. He was taking it up their old poop chute for free. So go over there to Chud the Builder and go put some money on his books. Go on over there. Don't come over here with that. What's your name? Oh, I blocked you.
what did you see? Witness, Karmelo gets mad. He's told to get mad and he's told to get out of the tent. Prosecutor, once he gets mad, what happens? Witness, he says, you're not going to move me. You're a B word. Prosecutor, was Austin starting to get mad? Witness, he was starting to get defensive. Someone we didn't know was in the tent. He's always leading. He's always protecting us. Prosecutor, after that, witness, Karmelo said, if you have to move me. Austin put his hand on his back. Witness, Karmelo said, you'll have to move me. Austin put his hand on his back. I saw Karmelo's hand go into the backpack. We're at a track meet. I wouldn't expect anything to be there. Karmelo says, touch me, you'll have to move me and find out, trying to provoke him. Prosecutor, then what happens? Witness, Austin puts his hand on him and falls back. Prosecutor, how was Austin trying to move him? Witness, he was trying to move him off his seat, a soft shove. Prosecutor, what did Austin do? Witness, I saw a hole in his chest and blood. He starts screaming for help. Prosecutor, when this is going on, who's standing? Witness, before the stab, Austin was the one standing. Prosecutor, did any kids from Memorial try to gang up on Karmelo? Witness, no. Prosecutor, you're expecting at most a fist fight? Witness, yes. Prosecutor, you didn't think anything was going to happen? Witness, no. Prosecutor, after Austin falls, where does Hunter go? Witness, Hunter went to help him get up, and that's when Austin pulled up his shirt and started screaming. Prosecutor, you thought the stab was a shove? Witness, yes. Prosecutor, what did you see? Witness, I saw the coach take off his sweatshirt. Austin fell down and looked unconscious. Prosecutor, after the stabbing, where did Karmelo go? Witness, I saw him run up to the bleachers. Prosecutor, the coach heard you saying, that was my brother, about Austin. Witness, yes, sir. Okay, after some of that testimony on Saturday, the state just rested its case in the Karmelo Anthony murder trial, calling 21 witnesses. Defense moves to directed verdict, claiming the state did not make its case. Prosecutor says it did, which is pretty standard. Judge denies the motion. Judge orders a recess of 10 minutes. This was the state's last witness in the Karmelo Anthony murder trial, the medical examiner who conducted the autopsy. Chief medical examiner for Collin County, Dr. Elizabeth Ventura, she says has done thousands of autopsy and has done internal and external examination, sectioning off organs. This came as a suspected homicide requiring a more in-depth autopsy. She performs Austin's autopsy the day after his death. He was 213 pounds, 73 inches, which translates to 6'1". His body was received in a hospital gown. Hands and feet were covered in bags. He had a stab wound on the left side of his chest. It penetrated the heart. The heart was removed. The stab wound gave a measurement of 2 inches, gaping in length. The classification is gaping because it broke the fibrosis tissue and pulled it apart instead of a slit. The path of wound completely through the heart. They are showing 4 pictures, just the jury. They are stab wound to the chest, a close-up image of the gaping oval-shaped wound. The last 2 are of the heart after it was removed. Several jurors looked emotional and putting a hand over their mouths. Prosecutor, is the wound survivable? Witness, no. Prosecutor, did you find signs of internal bleeding? Witness, yes. The prosecutor is showing a duplicate of the knife used in the stabbing. Prosecutor, is a knife like this considered a deadly weapon in Texas? Witness, yes. Prosecutor, what was the cause and manner of death? Witness, the result of a stab wound to the chest. The manner is homicide. Defense attorney, In the report and in the drawing, you list the wound as being obliquely oriented. Witness, yes, it's giving a description of the wound was at that angle. Defense attorney, closer to horizontal. Witness, yes. Defense attorney, an exact depth of 2.5 inches. Witness, yes. Defense attorney, do you have any way of establishing force used? Witness, no. Defense attorney, would it be consistent if the victim was standing over the person stabbing, let's say in a bleacher? Witness, it can cause an angle.
Okay, let me answer this here. Wolfie, Triple X. I'm not banning everyone. I'm banning people that's coming here with these outrageous comments. If I was banning everyone, you wouldn't be here with that comment, would you? I'm not listen, you are entitled to your opinion just as well as I am mine. If you don't like my opinion, maybe you should go somewhere else, not you or anyone else in particular, should go somewhere else where the commentary is more favorable to what you want to hear. Again, I'm not sticking up for Carmelo Anthony, and I'm not going to disparage the other family as well. That's not what we're here for. I'm not here to say Carmelo Anthony should rot in jail. I'm not here to say that he's going to get raped, that he's all these bad things are going to happen to him. Unlike some of the comments, Wolfie, those are the people that are getting banned, not the people with just comments of what they're thinking or what they feel like typing. Wolfie, there's a difference and why people are getting booted.
Going from front to back. There are many possibilities because the body is in constant motion. That can be consistent. The prosecutor says there's a lot of danger in reenactments like the defense just did. Prosecutor, it's easy to construct a finding that fits what you want. Witness, yes. Prosecutor, I don't want the jury to think Austin impaled himself on Carmelo's knife. It's just probable, right? Witness, yes. Prosecutor, it's dangerous to make those kinds of assumptions. Witness, yes. Prosecutor, can you explain what a defensive wound is? It's typically on the hands or forearms. Prosecutor, did you find any defensive wounds on Austin? Witness, no. Now we switch over to the first defense witness in the car.
Okay, here's another one of these comments. Okay, LOL Cool J. I guess that's a run on LL Cool J. People aren't buying the concern. This always happens, and everyone is forced to placate to you guys or get fired from our jobs, etc. What you mean placate to to what you guys are you referring to? Now, I think you're trying to talk about Chud the Builder and not Carmelo Anthony in this. I think that's where you're going to this, where no one's asking you to placate to anyone. The fact of the matter is, leave folks alone that's not bothering you. You can't go out and create a situation and then cry when something bad happens to you, like Chud the Builder, like some of you folks that are running around, running up into other folks' faces, thinking there's not going to be any consequences for it. So I don't know what this business of placating but to us, I'm sure you're meaning placate to black folks when you go out and fuck with black folks. And when black folks do something to you, all of a sudden, we got black fatigue. All of a sudden, see, it's the usual suspects. Not want to put any of the blame on Chud the Builder and folks that act like him under the guise of the First Amendment. Well, let me tell you something about the First Amendment. That's not for person to person. It's to protect you from your government. There's consequences and repercussions behind you coming up to someone, calling somebody a name, and then talking about it's my First Amendment right to. Well, it's my First Amendment right too, also. But that has nothing to do with this case here at all. See, this is what I'm saying. You folks come in here and try and antiquate situations that has nothing to do with the other. So don't come in here with no slick views of Chud the Builder, because Chud the Builder is where he's supposed to be, in jail. Carmelo Anthony is where he's supposed to be, in jail. He committed a crime. That's just bottom line to it. He did something that, according to the United States of America, he has to be punished for. I think the idea is of how much time. That's what we're looking at. So you don't placate to me, a Cool J.
Karmelo Anthony trial is his former Centennial High track coach. Defense attorney Mike Howard calls Adam Linwood, football and track coach at Centennial High School. Defense, how is track different from football? Witness, it's more of a player-driven sport. Defense, is track more relaxed and leads to mingling than football? Witness, yes. Defense, are you aware of any policy of players not being allowed to go into other teams' tents? Witness, no. The kids would mingle and meet each other and make new friends. Defense, everyone.
Okay, so there goes that argument right there. Folks keep saying that he was asked to leave 15, 20 times, but it's not unusual for kids from other schools to co-mingle with other kids from other schools. So the fact that Austin or any other kid walked up to Karmelo Anthony, whether he was in the right tent, the wrong tent, the school tent, the high school tent, the junior high tent, the fact of the matter is none of those kids at that event had the right to walk up to Karmelo Anthony and ask him to leave. They don't have that power. They don't have that authority. And that's what some people want to cling on to. Well, he was asked to leave. Who asked him to leave? Was someone in any position of authority before the incident happened asked Karmelo Anthony to leave? And the answer would be no.
One who knew Karmelo called him Mello. Witness, yes. Defense is now referring to Karmelo as Mello. He is showing a defense exhibit of a plaque that lists all football captains of each year, shows Karmelo's name. Coach says captains are chosen by other players. Was a starting defensive back in 2024.
What's up there, logical assessment? Finally, someone comes in here that understands where I'm trying to go or what I've been thinking about. Yes, you're absolutely right. The parents are the main key players in this, both sets of parents, the mother and father on Austin Metcalf's side and the mother and father on Karmelo Anthony's side. I think the parents should have known not to take this to a complete full trial because of the racial epithet, because this child was racially charged, and because it was children involved. I think the parents should have taken a plea deal because there was no way that Karmelo Anthony, after he gave that statement of saying, yeah, I did it, was he not going to be punished? Regardless of what age he did it. And I'm going to show you why in a little bit.
Defense. Why did his season end early? Witness, he suffered a significant shoulder injury that needed surgery. Defense, he wore his arm in a sling for a while. Witness, yes. Defense, I'd like to turn to track for Karmelo. The jury has heard about the Little Elm track meet in March, the Lowell Invitational. Did he participate in events? Witness, yes. Now talking about the April 2nd track meet at the stadium. Defense, was a tent already in your bus that day? The morning bus? Witness, no. Defense, Mello needed to be there in the morning for his event? Witness, yes. Prosecutor, this is now on cross. When was the last time you talked to Karmelo? Witness, the day of the event. You're aware there's no weapons allowed at track meets? Witness, yes. I imagine you don't approve of your athletes stabbing other athletes in the chest? Witness, no. Prosecutor, it should happen that one of your athletes end up in another team.
Okay, here we go, puppy power. I guess that's from Scrappy Doo, puppy power. Again, this is a lot of times, I don't know why you even asked that question, but so many times when children of color get into some type of trouble, the first thing they do is look at their parents. And the next thing they do is see, well, he wasn't raised in a two-parent household, or he didn't have his father there. That's usually how they look at black children when they do, when they do something wrong. But in this case, the verse was the opposite, because Austin's parents were divorced. The mother was the primary caregiver for both the children. So the reverse happened this time, wasn't it? They couldn't use the thing that, well, Carmelo came from a broken home. His daddy wasn't there. His mama was this. There was that. He came from a pretty well-to-do home. Well, on the other hand, Austin and his brother did come from a broken home. Am I right?
Team's tent. Witness, yes, sir. Prosecutor, is there any reason an athlete should have a knife at a track meet? Showing the knife replica. Witness, no. Prosecutor, you would expect someone asked to leave a tent to comply? Witness, yes. More defense witnesses testified during the Karmelo Anthony murder trial. Witness number 18 has a twin brother, fraternal, graduated from Centennial High, played football 4 years and track 3 years. Defense, did you know Karmelo Anthony? Would you know him as? Yes, we know him. Call him Mello. Defense, how would you describe your relationship? Witness, I'd say we were friends. We hung out. Defense, how is track different from a football game? Witness, there's way more people and you can walk around. Defense, a part of the track is making friends. Would you agree with that? Did you have any friends from other teams? Witness, yes. Did you spend time under other teams' tents? Yes. Did you see other kids doing the same? Yes, sir. Did you ever have a problem doing that where you were told you shouldn't be doing that? Witness, no, sir. Would you sometimes sit and have a conversation? Would you spend more time in the tent? I'd spend some time. Have you ever been to the memorial tent before? Yes.
Gordy, let me refer to that comment. He doesn't like to be touched. Now he will be touched more than Braille signs. Listen, this is something I tell my children. I tell my children this. When someone touches you, you give them that standard warning. I do not like to be touched. Please refrain from touching me. If you touch me from this point on, I will be forced to defend myself. I don't like being touched, especially by strangers. I don't like somebody just coming up to me thinking they could just touch me and put their hands on me any old kind of willy-nilly way. I don't know where your hands been. So I do teach my children that. I don't like being touched. Don't touch me for just no reason. A handshake is sufficient. Is that wrong of me? No, I didn't. But I also didn't tell my children to make sure you use discernment. I also tell them discretion is a better part of valor. This is what we do as parents. We're not going to get everything right.
Was it a hi and leave or spend time and hang out? We'd spend time hanging out. Was it just you? Me and Carmelo. We both had friends at Memorial. How much time did you spend? About 10 minutes. Were there any problems with that? No. There is no need for a knife at a track meet. No. This is the prosecutor now in cross. As far as you know, Frisco's policy.
Hey, what's up there, melanated vessel? And you're absolutely right. And this is one of the points that I tried to point out to everyone else. Everyone's saying that, yeah, well, they told him to leave. They told him to leave. But those children that was at the event, they had no authority to tell anyone to leave, regardless of whether he was under the wrong tent or the right tent. Just because the tent had a particular school on it, that doesn't necessarily mean that Karmelo Anthony was in the wrong place. If he was an athlete, if he was attending the school, he had a right to be there, just like Austin had a right to be there. And unfortunately, these two kids met under some fucked up circumstances, and one, unfortunately, ended up losing his life behind it. And again, I'll say this. Does young Karmelo Anthony need to pay for what he did? Absolutely. Absolutely, he does.
Of not having a knife at a track meet has never been violated. It hasn't. Okay, that brings us to Monday today. Mr. J.D. Miles says more defense witnesses expected today in the Karmelo Anthony murder trial. I am one of the few reporters allowed inside the courtroom and will update you with testimony as it happens. The courtroom is full and we are waiting for the judge and jury to enter. Prosecutor has just motioned to the Metcalf parents to follow outside the courtroom to discuss something. We don't know what it's about yet. 53 minutes ago, first defense witnesses in the Karmelo Anthony murder trial is 17-year-old Centennial High School student, football and track teammate of Karmelo, says Karmelo was acting normal in the stadium when their team arrived and sat in the bleachers. Defense, Would you agree with me that at a football game, it's more of an our team versus our culture? Witness, no, sir. What about track? Is it more social? Witness, I would agree. Defense, what would you do to pass time? Witness, scroll on my phone, get food. What about spending time under other teams' tents? I don't think I've ever done it, but it never crossed my mind like that. Have you ever seen other kids who have done that? Witness, I can't put my finger on a time when I noticed it. Witness testifies that the Centennial team was hanging out in the baseball dugout while waiting to determine if there was a rain delay to start the track meet. They had to leave and they didn't have a tent. He says they went out on the field to warm up. Defense, what happens when you go out on the field and start to warm up? Witness, the rain had almost died down and full stop, and it started to pick up again. He says the team dispersed and Nat Carmelo headed to the bleachers. Defense, what made you notice him in the bleachers? Witness, I was just looking around and I saw someone I recognized. He said he saw Anthony at the Memorial High School tent and it looked crowded underneath. Defense, describe what is happening. Witness, everything looked completely normal. Defense, describe to the jury what you saw and what you thought. Witness, I had looked up, and when I looked up, I heard a sound like a lot of yelling. I heard louder voices over there, and I looked up, and there were a lot of people facing the field. And when I looked up over there, people weren't facing the field anymore, and they were looking back. Defense, do you remember telling the detective my teammate might be in trouble, and maybe I need to go and help him? Witness, yes, sir. I thought there could be something wrong, and I wanted my teammates to see it too. 20 minutes ago, more testimony from the first witness on cross-examination. Defense, what did you see when you first noticed that something was wrong? I saw the arm.
El Boogie, you know I'm not going to do that, and I'm aware that a lot of these, hey, Dad, Nana, how you doing? A lot of these folks that I've never seen before is coming from that vertical. Again, if you're coming from the vertical stream, listen. For those that's been around me long enough to know, they know that I am not trying to be biased here. And for those of you that are listening to me for the first time, you need to go back into my archives and see that I'm not biased. I try and call balls and strikes. But in this case, I have to look at it from both sides of the street. I live in South Carolina. The incident that happened with Daniel Chow, to be quite honest with you, I was not privy to until I started hearing about it on the internet, even though I live here in this state. But once I got to the details of it, and once I started looking at it, okay, 17-year-old kid loses his life over a bottle of water. I was under the impression that the kid was shot in the store, but he wasn't. The store owners chased him outside the store over a bottle of water, 99 cents, dollar six at best. And for that, he lost his life. So y'all don't y'all you said it's okay. A lot of people will go around and say, I understand why the shopkeeper did what he did. But then you won't give that same grace to a 17-year-old who really hasn't had formed all the cognitive abilities to make sound, rational decisions. Again, I'm not saying what Karmelo Anthony did was right, but what I'm saying is I can understand maybe in his mind what he was thinking. How can I understand that? Because at some point in time in my life, I was a 17-year-old black child too. At some point in my life, everybody has gone to high school and had a bully. My bully's first name was Miller. And until I dusted him up in Miss Mason's class up against that chalkboard, he messed with me every day until I finally had enough. And when I pinned him up on that blackboard and gave him a couple knuckle sandwiches, you know what he did the next day? Hey, man, how you doing? We good. That's how it used to be back in the day, back in the good old days. Now, shit, you pull out guns, knives, bricks, or whatever.
Arms go out, and I saw arms make contact with Carmelo. Can you see how much contact is being made with Melo? No, sir. What was concerning you at that point? Was that concerning to you at that point? Yes. You weren't sure that this is a fight, but you were concerned it could be a fight. Yes, sir. I was running through all the possibilities of it, where this is a friend or not. What did you think next? It got super loud and people started standing up and were like, what happened? So did you not see?
Okay, Okay, Aaron, it seems to me that's always going to be detractors. Okay, she says or he says, you need to quit saying this shit that they have already shown an image or, excuse me, of a knife that is similar to the one that they had. You never heard me say anything. I'm only repeating what you folks are putting down there. You folks are want to come in and talk about cleat cleaners and all that other stuff. Only time you heard me mention knife is up here up here on the screen. You didn't hear me say it. You heard me say cleat cleaner. That's what you heard me say, Aaron. Stop putting words in my mouth. If you don't like the commentary here, Aaron, how long is it going to take you before you click off? Or would you like for me to drop the link for you, Aaron? And let's see if you can come up here and we can talk about it back and forth that way. Would you like that, Aaron? Would you like me to do that for you? Would you like me to put the link down in the chat room for you, Aaron? Let me see. Let me see if you answer it. Let me scroll down a little further. Aaron, let me see. Aaron, Aaron, I don't see you. Where you at, Aaron? Where you at, Aaron? Where you at, Aaron? I don't see you. I'll wait. I don't think you really want to come up here, Aaron, do you? Hey, here go May. Are you May? Is that you again? May, are you talking to me? Are you calling me a racist? No, Nickel. No, he shouldn't be free. He should pay. He should pay. He should pay. He should. Carmelo should pay the price. I don't know if it's 35, 40, 50 years, but he shouldn't get off scot-free. He took someone's life, Nickel, and he should be made to pay for that. And I'm gonna get back to this to these teenagers here in just a minute, okay? But May, are you calling me a racist? How can I be? How can I be a racist, May? Hmm? She says, "Look, you got the black people can't be racist lie working for you. You can't have you can't. Huh?
The
They
stab or
coming in here.
moments before that? No. Is Mello
Okay, let me take this off the screen here
seated?
because
No,
I think
sir. What
we've had
happened
enough
next?
of that.
What I saw
We had enough of that. So let me take this off the screen here and let me show you folks something here, okay? Just to show you that I'm really not talking about Carmelo Anthony and to show you that I'm talking about the disparity in the judicial system, okay? Let me show y'all folks something. I'm not really sorry for what I did. 19 serial killers and the chilling crimes that they committed. Does this fall under what what all you folks have been calling Carmelo Anthony? 19 serial killers and their chilling crimes that they committed. Look at this one. Babyface. Mary Bell, 10 years old. She killed 2 toddlers. Let's look at this one. Oh my goodness. Let me see if I can find the other one here. It's just one incident here of this young girl here, 10 years old, that decided the history of the youngest serial killer, Mary Bell, 10 years old. She had the intent, But did she have the mental capacity to decide to discern what she was doing was wrong? Whereas now we got these folks over here that will talk about Carmelo Anthony as a bona fide murderer. How is that possible? When some of you folks will say that he went to this track meet with the express idea of hurting someone, I don't think he did. Was y'all listening to the same thing that I was listening to? I never said that he's doing the right, that him sitting in jail was the right or wrong thing. You heard me clearly say that Carmelo Anthony, regardless of what I think, he needs to be punished for what he did. So don't come in here twisting up words. Now, here's another example of the danger of fools. Since you say only black people, since all black people are rooting for Carmelo Anthony to go home and just live his normal life, here you go.
Are at the point where they will feel sorry for the criminal and the murderer more than the actual person who's not with us anymore. The actual victim, they don't care about. Everyone feels sorry for this little monster. I never felt comfortable around you niggas. That's why I got the hell away from y'all. Y'all think this is a game, like, oh, you're just saying this for likes and clicks. No, I'm not even near you niggas. My kids don't go to school with you niggas. This ain't for likes. This is for real. Like growing up, when my friends would come over, hey, my dad would check them at the door. Listen, man, you gotta take that do-rag off. This do-rag ain't allowed here. My dad didn't like do-rags. Because he watches the news. He see who's doing the killing. Take that do-rag off before you come over. And that's all, like,
See, this is the problem that I'm having with skin folks. I didn't say kinfolk. This is the problem I'm having with kinfolk, skin folks. He will sit on here and talk about this and all about that, not talking about the facts. Because we all know in damn near every major crime statistic in the United States of America, black people do not lead. But because in his grandiose idea of being adjacent to some white folks, instead of keeping his mouth shut, he thought this was the best thing for him to do.
And you know, when I was a kid, I didn't understand. I'm like, why is dad like this? What's going on with dad, Mom? Why is he tripping? Why is he embarrassing me? My mom sat me down and told me a story. Listen, your dad's seen a lot of things. What do you mean, Mom? What happened? You know, I never told you this, and don't tell your father I told you, but when we were young, you know, we used to party at your dad's house, you know, when we were 16, and his brother had just come home from the military. His brother was older, you know, your father looked up to him. He was kind of the protector of the home. Everybody loved him. He was just a great guy. Just came home from the military, you know, and they threw a party for him. Celebrating, everybody celebrating downstairs. What happens? A knock on the door. My father's brother goes up the stairs, opens the door. What is it? A bunch of monsters. You know, do-rag wearing monsters. Yo, we want to come to the party. My father's brother tells him, no, you're not allowed. Nobody else is allowed. We're going to just keep having this party and you guys are going to leave. What do they do? Oh, yeah? Put a gun to his head, shoot him in the head. He fall down the stairs, dies in front of my dad. My dad is traumatized by y'all.
What?
From that moment.
Oh, my God. Did y'all believe this? Do y'all believe that story just now? Why do some people have to go to such outlandish length to say that something bad in their life happened? Again, all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And I guess there's no ability that this was just that your folks didn't know these people, right? They just have a party. All of a sudden, some loose niggas show up and start shooting everybody. That only happens in the black community. It doesn't happen anywhere else. That only happens in black communities. And someone said that this host is lying about the crime statistics. Well, I don't know. Hold on just a second. Which crime statistic are you talking about that I'm lying about? And when it comes to SA and children, white men between the age of 18 and 35 lead that category. When it comes to homicide, white men lead that category. When it comes to white collar crimes, white men lead that category. When it comes to welfare crimes, white women lead that category. When it comes to SA and children or SA and women, white men lead that category. If you're mad, go get mad at the CDC or the people that keep these stats. Don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me for putting out the truth that you don't want to hear. You still believe that Columbus discovered America too, didn't you? If I'm lying, what's your name? Aline Ramirez, Alan Ramirez. If I'm lying, go pull up the stats for yourself. Go pull up the stats for yourself, Ramirez. And be honest about the stats that you pull up too, okay? Don't go in and gloss. Don't go to Chat GPT and act like Chat GPT or Grok or somebody else is going to lie to you, or Google is going to lie to you. Well, that's you grew up in the hood. What you expect? If you grew up in the hood, what hood did you grow up in? Did you grow up in the black hood? Did you grow up in the Latino hood? Did you grow up in the white hood? That's the only place that crime exists, is in the hood. Huh? Is that the only place crime exists, Mr. Ramirez? Is in the hood? I think not.
Moment, man. He just didn't want nothing to do with you. He stayed in Brooklyn a little longer, seen more things happen, and then he got to them books. Yo, I got to get out of here. I cannot raise a family here. It's not safe. It's a reason why people want to get away from y'all. You have an animalistic monster mentality. Nobody wants to be around. Shoot first, ask questions later. That's how y'all move. Y'all don't even fight no more. Ain't no hands, one-on-ones. Y'all just go straight to killing. Obviously, it's not all black people. There's a lot of good black people out here. There's a lot of monsters as well. And it's not hard to tell who's who. And that is exactly.
So how can you tell what does a monster, what does a black monster look like, folks? If y'all saw me walking down the road, would I be considered a monster, or is it just your preconception or your preconceived notion of what you think a monster is? And see, this is the problem that I'm having with some of you black content creators. Y'all take an incident and run with it as if it affects all of us. Karmelo Anthony did something. That don't mean every black person in America did it. And thank you, L Boogie. Thank you very much for that comment. Any black person that believes that throughout this global diaspora that we are the minority, you're sadly mistaken. If the conversation I was having earlier today, if black people got together and decided to say enough is enough and act their own laws and put their own self in the positions of winning instead of coming over here with like this dude with the cowboy hat on, we might be in a different place. But because we got skin folks like this, no matter what part of the diaspora we're in, we're always going to run into these roadblocks.
Well, Austin Metcalf didn't want that boy around. And he was right.
I'm going to comment on that right after this right here. Whoa! Special partnership alert. We just now linked up with XXXdrinks.com. Get 10% off. I'll see you on the other side. Jesus.
We don't have a race problem in this country. We have a problem race. And this has nothing to do with skin color. This has something to do with the behavior that is coming from a certain group of people, black people, that is not okay. Let me be the one to break it to you. They're calling you the N-word and they're treating you like the N-word because you're acting like the N-word, okay? This is
Oh, really? Oh, really, Miss Lady? So the mere fact that I was just minding my business one day, walking down Central Avenue, and some kids in the back of a pickup truck decided to throw bottles at me and hurl racial insults at me, that means that I'm acting like the N-word. How is she right, Reggie? Reggie, how is she right? You want me to drop the link for you, Reggie, so you can come up here and tell me how right she is, Reggie? I don't think so.
how you're acting, and even your own ancestor would be repulsed by your behavior. The disgusting behavior that is coming from you guys is absolutely repulsive, and I am so tired of seeing you guys come across my screen doing the most absolutely animalistic things possible. It is disgusting. And you don't want to talk about the facts. You don't want to talk about how we need to fix the households and how we need to pay attention to the children and how we need to do better for ourselves. You want to blame white people. Go figure. You guys are completely disgusting, and I promise I will die on my feet talking about this before I die on my knees serving the degenerate behavior that is coming out of the Black community. It is absolutely.
It is absolutely what part of the Black community that you're in, Miss Lady, that all you see is degeneracy. Maybe you should look at where you placed yourself, because I don't see that everywhere I go. You know what the majority of what degeneracy I see coming from the Black community? It's on YouTube, it's on TikTok, it's on Facebook. To where you folks think because you got a mic and a camera that you can come up here and say any damn thing you want to with no repercussions. Now I'm wondering, Miss Lady, would you really sit up in a group of Black women and say the same thing? Or should you be better off saying that here's a certain group of people that I ran across that give us as Black people a bad name? Let's call them out. Because nobody associates, thank you, Sock Passe, nobody associates Chud the Builder with the entire white community. So why do you insinuate or put the degeneracy of some Black people on the entire Black community? Why is that necessary?
Ridiculous. And of course, I have to do my disclaimer. You guys know I'm not talking about all Black people, but I am talking about the Black people that makes it harder for Black people like myself and good.
Too late. You can't use the disclaimer after you use all. It's too late.
Good Black people that want to do good things in this country. I am talking about the degenerates. I'm talking about you guys.
It's unfortunate that we even have to have this conversation. I'm gonna keep it a buck. We keep on talking about race. White people are like, man, I'm tired of y'all niggas. I'm tired of these Black people. What's wrong with y'all? Honestly, we support any damn thing. Anything. As a matter of fact, he said that you don't even fight anymore. They shoot first and ask questions last. That's exactly what they do. As a matter of fact, they don't ask any questions. Somebody can say, that person just now called me a B, and you didn't even look at him. You didn't even see him. But their whole family will come to your door and want to fight, rip stuff up, shoot, stab, whatever, without even finding out if you actually did the thing that their family or someone that they know said that they did. That's just what we do. We're very aggressive. We want to fuss. We want to cuss somebody out. We want to fight. Even though a lot of us don't even know how to damn fight, we just believe that since we're Black and we're angry, that we can knock somebody out. And 9 times out of 10, we're wrong as hell. And we don't find that out until we missing a few teeth, until our nose is bleeding, until our head is all knotted up, and we're waking up from somebody calling the damn police. And you the one that started the fight. I want to say something about this guy and many other black conservatives who say negative sugar honey iced tea about the African American culture and community. Thank you so much for being honest and not giving a damn about just selling out and being on your knees to appease.
And again, Sakpa, I say you're absolutely right. They act like that. Dare I say this? They act like black criminals have to give a reason of why they're criminalistic. Well, white criminals don't. We need to look at white criminals and find out why they did it. We need to put them in therapy to find out. We need to go and get this guy's brain and study it to find why he committed this heinous crime. We need to examine Dylan Ruth to see why he went into a church and had prayer with 9 black parishioners before he pulled out a Glock 40 a Glock and started shooting them. It's always us as black people that have to have the reasons why shit happens. It's always us that's got to give y'all a reason for your degeneracy. Now I'm getting to the point now to where I'm talking strictly to black people that want to talk about other black people dropping to their knees or thinking that they should fight for everything. Let me tell you something. As a black man, I earned the right to fight. I earned the right for you folks, for you evil white folks to stop calling my brethren niggers. I earned the right for you evil motherfuckers to come around here and think that just because my skin is black, that you can equate me to crime. Because you can't. You can't equate my brothers, my sisters, my uncles, nobody. I don't know nobody that went out and robbed somebody just for the fuck of it. So ask yourself, for all you folks, that when you know somebody that killed somebody or that robbed somebody or that raped somebody, ask yourself the company that you're keeping. Evil exists all over the world, doesn't it? It just not exists in your backyard. I shouldn't have to be up here trying to explain to you. I'm talking about a crime that was committed. Now we're here talking about somebody came and said, why is it always to come down to race relations? Y'all see why. Now I got to defend who and what I am because a lot of y'all came in there talking about it's generalities of black people doing this. It's only black people that go around committing crime. Then you want to come in there with this per capita shit. Even in per capita, white folks still commit more crimes. You're just not convicted as much. And that's across the board. Black folks might lead in some categories, but for the overwhelming majority of crime in this country, white folks lead them.
The black people.
We don't have a race problem in this country. We have a problem race.
She says we don't have a race problem in this country. We have a problem race. That right there, bruh. A lot of black people will hear her say that and be like, that's the most ignorant, self-hate filled BS I've ever heard in my life.
Hold on just a second. Let me, where you at right here? Where you at here? Where you at? Wait a minute. Where you at here? Okay, Ultra. Before I leave, I got something special for you, okay? Because now, see, apparently you think that you can just come over here and say what you want to. See, this is what I mean. You motherfuckers think y'all got a right to. What would make you want to come over here and tell everybody to go and strike my channel? What for? What the fuck would you do that for? Because you don't like my commentary? Close the door. When you leave, cut out the light and close the door. Let the Lord hit you where the door splits you. Well, vice versa. You know what the fuck I'm talking about. Now, before I get you up out of here, matter of fact, the fuck on out of here. I'm not even going to waste no more time on you. Get the fuck up out of here. Anybody else? Anybody else? Here's another dumb one. Black supremacist. What is a black supremacist? What's your name? Chud. What is a black supremacist, sir? Someone that believes is what? That his race is superior? Well, guess what? I guess you shouldn't be offended anymore when I call you a white supremacist. Because guess who came up with the concept of race? And guess who decided to put black people at the bottom? Huh? Guess who came up with something and said, you know what? I'm going to put myself at the top based on a fucking skull. Now, let me get you up out of here, too. You can go over there. I'm sure there's a Klan rally that's just starting for Chud the Builder. Now, go on over there and catch it. Get you a front row seat. In the meantime, get the fuck up out of here.
Because our race is the cure. Our race is what's right about this country. If we weren't brought over here, America wouldn't even be here no more. So are we celebrating being brought over as slaves or no? Did we want to be left over in Africa or no?
Ignorance. Ignorance is bliss, folks, sometimes. Who celebrated, who in God's green earth, any black person has ever celebrated being a slave? Just because you mention history doesn't mean celebrating. Because you mind of people of where you came from, that don't mean you're celebrating. And if you look at the overall continuity of the United States of America, if it had not been for the backs of slaves, sugar, indigo, rice, cotton, America would not be the great country that it is. The majority of America's wealth came from slave labor, whether y'all want to acknowledge that or not. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, the majority of the United States wealth that made this country the power that it is came from the backs of slaves. When you go to Wall Street the next time, walk up under Wall Street. You know what was the first commodity sold on Wall Street? Slaves. Come down here to Charleston or go to any deep water port in the United States of America, and I guarantee you'll run into some place that sold slaves. South Carolina, before 1865, the majority of folks that lived in South Carolina under duress were black men, black women, black children. Tea farms, indigo farms, tobacco, cotton, all of that tended by the hands of black slaves. Famous route in South Carolina is the scenic route that they call Highway 61 has at least 4 plantation houses on it. At least. Now, it comes to this word racist. A racist can do what? Have the ability to tell you where, how, and why you live. Not taking anything away from my people. But when have black people had the power to do that? When have black people had the ability to determine where an entire group of people are going to live? Well, on the Vice, we know about redlining. We know about all the things that were put in place to stop black people from home ownership. We know about all of those things. But y'all going to come in here and tell me that I'm the racist. Well, I know one thing, John. Get your fucking ass up out of here. Bye. You didn't have to come in here and tell me that.
Nah. What do we consider ourselves? Black? African American? Do we consider ourselves American at all? Most times, no. Most black people do not claim America until it benefits them. When it's time to measure up against other countries, we claim American. When we have a black president or somebody in office that we feel proud about or we can see ourselves in, pause, no diddy, then we claim America. But other than that, bro.
Yep, that's enough for you. I just wanted y'all to show you that all skin folks ain't kin folks. Because let me tell you something. I am an American. I was born here. I can't claim any other country. I can't claim England. I can't claim Russia. I can't claim China. I can't claim North, South Korea. I can't claim any Australia. I can't claim any of those. So by nature, I am an American. My skin happens to be black. Could you think of any more patriotic person in the United States other than a black person? Can you think of anyone more patriotic? I tell you what you do. Go to Stone Mountain, Georgia on the 4th of July and see how many black patriotic motherfuckers there be at that park. You never heard me say I hate America. I love this country that I'm in. I've been around the world 7 times, folks. The Marine Corps afforded me to go to some places that as a child I only saw in encyclopedias, newspapers, and magazines. But I am an American. I am absolutely just as red-blooded American as any of you with a pale skin. My pops, my uncles, and myself, we all served in this thing we call the military. We've gotten completely away from the Karmelo Anthony situation, but I understand why. Because someone came here and asked, why does race play a major role in everything we do? You see why. There's no way around it. Some say it hasn't. Now, what I'm going to do for a few minutes, I'm going to drop the link. And anyone that wants to come up, but before I do that, let me show you this. Let me show you this.
All right, Madam Clerk, will you please publish?
Yes, sir, Your Honor. Indictment number 202.
Okay, Andy, what side am I on? Since you came in there, what side am I on, Andy? Tell me what side am I on? I can see you can't take evidence if it's not on your side. I think I put together a pretty compelling story of right and wrong on both sides. Andy, maybe you should go back and re-scroll through. Andy?
23GS4007440, State of South Carolina, County of Richland versus Chike Rick Chow. We, the jury, unanimously find the defendant, Chike Rick Chow, as to the charge of murder, not guilty. Signed number 302, foreperson, June the 1st, 2026. Madam Forelady, was this your verdict and the verdict of the entire jury?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Thank you.
What I wanted y'all to hear was the wailing in the background. That's the wailing of a mother that saw the man that murdered her son be set free, not guilty. So I would imagine that Austin Metcalf's parents felt the same way. that if young Anthony, Karmelo Anthony, would have gotten off scot-free, I'm sure we would have heard that same wail. This man that you see on the screen right here left his place of business, pulled out a firearm, chased someone at least 130, 140 feet, shot him in the back over water. When he could have put a sign up at the door, put his face on a placard somewhere and said, "You're not allowed in this store anymore." He could have done that. The same way everybody wants to come up and say that Karmelo Anthony should have walked away, Mr. Chow should have stayed in the store. Mr. Chow should have said, "Oh, it's just water. I ain't really lost nothing from that. It's just water." Come to find out, the kid didn't have a gun. The kid didn't have water. But Mr. Chow was free. All for water he did not take. But this man is walking free. This man is home with his family. So I can imagine what the Metcalf family would have felt like if Karmelo Anthony would have been found not guilty. I can imagine so. And that's all I need to say about that. That's all I need to say about that. Two-tier justice. There's two-tier justice right here. We see one man that we didn't expect for him to make the right decision about a bottle of water, to where a bottle of water was worth someone's life. But we want to condemn young Anthony for possibly defending himself, although the jury said that he didn't. But until we got that verdict, it wasn't our call to make. So what I'm going to do now, against my better judgment, I'm going to put this up. I'm going to allow some of you folks to come up here, especially those of you that have a difference of opinion than me. But I'll ask you when you come up here to be respectful, because if you're not going to get a warning. You're going to find out that you've been talking to yourself for at least 30 seconds before you realize you're not on the panel anymore. So if anyone wants to come up and be a part of this discussion, we can do this about another 15, 20 minutes or so. By all means, come on up. There's the link. You're welcome to it. But please, I'll ask you to be respectful. No, some say, well, again, the juries had already made that decision, control. They've already made that decision of whether he's innocent or guilty. That's not up to us. Now it's in the appeals situation. But what I do want to talk about is a little further, is about Karmelo Anthony's parents. And I need to pull something up here that's gonna, hold on just a second. It wouldn't allow me to download it. So let me go into my history file here. Let me go into my history file here. Don't know where it's at. There it is. Let me put this up. Hold on a second. What's up there? Who are you? Hold on a second.
How you doing, boss? They call me EJ.
What's up, EJ? How are you? Welcome in. Your thoughts?
I'm doing well. So I got a couple of thoughts on this one.
Sure.
In this particular case, I feel like I feel like, well, let me just preface this by saying I'm 40 years old.
Hmm.
And when I was growing up, there was always these issues between blacks, whites, race issues, things like that. I remember the Rodney King riots and all that other stuff.
Sure.
I feel like in the year 2026, we talk about race even more so, and we're even more polarized than when I was growing up. And I feel like this case kind of embodies that a little bit. I feel like there's a lot of people caping for Carmelo, and I think a lot of the people that are caping for Carmelo don't care if he was actually innocent or guilty. They're going to ride with him because he's black. And then there's going to be some of those folks that are going to ride with Metcalf because he's white. And I think that that's the majority of the people that are actually heavily involved in this case. The facts.
And you know, my man EJ, I would agree with you. I would wholeheartedly agree with you on that. I think everybody chose a side early on in this, and now we're just seeing the residuals of people choosing sides.
Yeah, and you know what? If the races of those people were reversed, I feel like a lot of people would. It doesn't matter because I feel like a lot of people would be be riding for that side, be riding for the opposite side with the exact same facts. So in this particular case, I don't know how a lot of people feel, but as a black man, I tried to look at this objectively,
Hmm.
and to be honest, the facts of the matter is don't support Carmelo, in my opinion. In my opinion, if I'm at the beach and I got a tent, somebody comes in my
Hmm.
tent when I'm with my family or when I'm with my folks, my team, and whomever, and I ask them to leave 15 times, I'm probably going to do a little bit more than what Metcalf did. I might put my hands on him. I'm probably going to put my hands on him. I'm probably going to be a little bit more forceful with my tone. There's going to be folks behind me that's going to be wanting to do the exact same thing. And we're going to try to remove this individual from our area. Right. And so if I look at it from that lens, does that person at that point in time have the right or the authority to then meet me with lethal force? There's that, right? And then there's also my other thought where it was good. I got into many fist fights when I was a child. I grew up in the inner city. I was from Oakland, California. There were many fist
Sure.
fights. Does that mean
Fully.
that every fist fight can now result in somebody, whomever the aggressor is, resulting in their death because of self-defense?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean,
How many
I've
fist fights
been there.
go on a daily basis? You know what I mean? On a
Yeah.
daily
Right.
basis. And this wasn't even as this wasn't even at the point of a fist fight. This was at the point of just that altercation, that initial altercation. And if that's the case, every school in America will just it would be complete chaos and pandemonium because you gotta get to the point where it actually needs to result in lethal force before anything would happen. Otherwise, every fist fight in the United States could result in somebody's death and somebody claiming self-defense.
Let me ask you this then, EJ. If
Yes, sir.
let me give you a, let me paint you a scenario. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So if Carmelo Anthony would have got up and walked away from the bleachers and the
Yes, sir.
other kids followed him, would that be considered self-defense?
Not to the point of violence. I mean, no, excuse me. Violence is one thing. Lethal force is a completely another thing, right? So if they followed him, there still hasn't been any violence. Now he may have felt threatened. Now a lot of people feel threatened. I mean,
Hmm.
I can go to the liquor store. I can go to the liquor store
Okay.
right now,
Okay.
and they could be, whatever, and I could feel threatened. But I can't
Okay.
use that as the onus to whip out my concealed carry and then
I,
start letting off.
I get you. I understand exactly what you're saying. But now, when do you determine that it's time to use that what they call self-defense mechanism? Do you wait until the person gets up on you that it could cause you some harm, or do you start
Yeah.
defending yourself
Okay.
after the first, or do you defend yourself after you done got your ass kicked for a little while? When is it proper to
Okay.
start this
So
to use self-defense?
so I got a concealed carry, right? And what that means is I can use that, but I think the law determines I need to fear for egregious bodily harm, which means that if somebody comes up and just slaps me, I can't just whip out and start letting off, right? But if somebody has a knife, then it's free game. And, then we go into town,
Right,
right?
right,
So I have
right,
to actually
right.
fear, not just for my safety, because I can't. If somebody pushes me and I shoot them on the street, that can't happen, right? I can't. It can't be. It can't be that small of a transgression. It has to reach a certain threshold before I can actually whip it out and start going on, right? So
So
because of
right.
that,
So who
yeah,
determines that
yeah.
though? Who determines that? When is that small the transgression that you described? Who determines that becoming big enough to well say it's time for me to defend myself? Who decides that?
The law. The law. It has to be. It has to be
Does it?
reasonable, right? And the reasonable defined by a jury of my peers or the district prosecutor. You know what I mean? Like if I'm in California, right? So that means I don't even have castle doctrine over here, right? So if somebody breaks in my
Right,
house, I have a duty to retreat over here, right?
right,
As
right.
opposed to me being able to stop them like that. So if it does come to a situation where I do have to use my firearm and I'm at home, I have to be able to prove that I did what I was supposed to do in order to alleviate that situation and put myself out of harm's way before I can actually utilize a firearm, right? So once the police show up after I tell them, hey, clean up on aisle 6 because this dude ran into my house, I got to be able to explain to them why I did what I did and why what I did in order to kind of prevent the situation. Now they can agree with me or not agree with me, but the the district attorney is going to come and review that. And if they don't agree and they get a grand jury to say, you know what, he didn't do quite enough, then I'm in trouble, right? So it's who's to determine that? It's the law, really. It's the law. So in this
Right.
particular
No,
case, when I was looking at it, go ahead. Go ahead.
no. What I'm saying is, no, I understand that the law determines that because yeah, of course you have to go to the
Yeah.
grand jury and all that. You have to get a true bill and indictment, all that, and then the law
Yeah.
decides whether you decided that what you used was self-defense, right? But my question
Right.
to you was, when?
I had to make that split
Right.
second decision. Correct.
Right, right. So what I'm saying is, and again, this is not a defense for Carmelo Anthony. This would be a
Yeah.
defense of any 17-year-old or anyone. When do you decide that, hey, I'm about to get my ass kicked, I got to do something? When do you
Now,
make that decision?
sure. So first of all, as a 17-year-old, I don't know why a weapon even got brought up in that situation at all, because I don't think that the idea, me putting myself in his shoes, I don't even think I would even fathom egregious bodily injury, right? Unless I really felt like somebody out here they was about to jump me and start, curb stomping me, like tap dancing all over me. Like
Right.
at that point,
Sure.
that's one thing. But for me to initiate the violence, right? For me to initiate, I'm not even gonna say the violence, for me to escalate the situation to a point where I'm whipping out weapons. Now that's something a little bit different. Like you can't. I mean, you can make that decision, but if I see somebody else got like this is a track meet. So if I see somebody else with a knife, I'm whipping out a knife. If I see somebody else or there's multiple people and I'm being surrounded, like that was actually at least something that could potentially play out if in Carmelo's favor, if he was actually being surrounded and violence took kicked off, then yeah, whip out that knife, whip out that knife. But when everything
Right.
came and everything was said and done, the jury did reviewed all the evidence. They watched the video. It was like, and it didn't look like that. That's what happened. And at the time, it's just like, well, you know what? We'll see what happens in court. I'm not even gonna take sides on this one because I'm just gonna see what happens in court because I feel like nowadays the media plays race so much that it's actually galvanizing and actually is worsening the situation in the United States better. When I was growing up, I had white friends, black friends. We used to crack jokes and about race and all this other stuff. And now it's like everybody's super sensitive and I can understand it because I can see how from the top down how it's being utilized in order to kind of cause this weird rift and division. Like and it's happening more and more. So
Right.
I just think people
DJ,
are being a little bit tribal.
right.
Yeah,
You say you say you're in your 40s now, or right at 40?
I'm 42.
Okay, 42. So
Yes, sir.
now, back in your school days, when
Yes, sir.
you live in Oakland. I know about Oakland. Say you're traveling down Foothill, right? And you
Yep.
going and running through a different neighborhood or whatever. You got this block, that block, or whatever. But being from that area, don't you think that a lot of people walk around with, dare I say, weapons just in case?
Oh, everybody. Listen, I got a concealed carry because I wanted to do illegal. But I've been to
Mm.
funerals and people was holding. I've been, I've been at any given point in time. People got it on. I just assume people got it on. If I'm in that
Right,
area, for sure. If I'm in that area, I
right,
just assume people got it on for sure. But
right.
and,
And
and here's the thing.
that's my point. That's my
Yeah.
point. People should always assume that someone has well, I won't call it a weapon, but something that can be used as a weapon. In this case, I don't think that Carmelo went to this track meet with the intent of using this knife that he had in his backpack as a weapon. I
Oh,
think
I
at
don't think
some
so
point in
either.
time, the kid got surrounded, he panicked, and he did not use discretion be the better part of valor. Instead, he took someone's life, and he should be punished for that. But seems to me that a lot of people, I don't know how long you've been in here, but it seems to think that I am covering down for him. I'm with you on this. I think the kid should be punished for what he did, along with everything else. But my point is, what I was trying to make the correlation is, here it is, you have a grown man that left his store with a gun, chased someone for at least 200 yards, shot them in the back, but he went home. And here it is, we have a kid sitting in the bleachers on a rainy day. For any other reasons, probably wouldn't have been there. But everybody expect him to have that level of discernment to know better. But we don't expect that from a grown man.
Yeah, see,
You see what
you
I'm
know
saying?
what the interesting thing is, the case that you're talking about, I just found out about it after the Carmelo was found guilty. And then people started doing the compare and contrast. That was actually the very first time that I actually heard about it. So I don't actually know the details of that case, but I can tell you, like, when people are real tribal right now, and they're gonna continue to try to make these points. And I hear your point. At the same time, people are choosing teams, and I think that's just kind of where we are right now. You making a valid point on that, but I don't know too many of the details of that particular case to speak
Right,
on
and
it.
that's all I'm saying, and
Yeah,
that's what I'm trying to say. It's just the two-tier justice thing. I'm not saying that Carmelo shouldn't be punished, and he should be, rightfully so. And with the amount of
absolutely.
years, that's up for a jury to decide. If the shoe was on the other foot, if Austin would have been the one that did the dastardly deed, he too should be punished. But my point is, and I think everyone is kind of overlooking the overall picture that I'm trying to paint here is of the reason why that some black people are so upset at what's going on right now is that, and I dare I say this, but they feel this is a get back for OJ.
I think a lot of people feel like that. I feel like a lot of people feel like that. But you know what? The thing is, okay, so I don't know if you've ever heard this story, but this happened maybe like 2 or 3 years ago in Oakland. The district attorney, there was a
Mm-hmm.
shootout on the highway between two rival sets.
Mm-hmm.
The shootout happened on the highway. There was a car that was caught in the crossfire. A little Asian kid, I think he was like 3 years old or something like that. He ended up getting killed in this crossfire between these two rival sets. The district attorney in Oakland decided that they wanted to review carceral. There was a term that she used, but it basically means that she wasn't going to actually prosecute anyone in this particular case. I say that to say there may be a two-tiered justice system in some areas, but I think we may be overreaching in others. And that's a part of that whole thing that I circle all the way back to us being tribal. This district attorney, who's very, very far left to the point where they don't believe in criminal punishment, that someone can murder a child on the highway and not get charged with any crime. That to me is what I fear is the overreach from us in this two-tier justice system and the correction that may be coming. If that makes sense.
It does. But again, you know, as I'm reading the chat room here, folks have brought up other instances, and you know, I know OJ was a bad reference, but you know, I didn't say it. I'm just just going by from the comments that I've heard from other streams and all that. And other folks have even brought up Derek Chauvin that's saying that there's no way that Karmelo Anthony was going to be found innocent. I didn't think, regardless to whatever the situation was, that he was going to be found innocent. He was going to be found guilty of something. But a lot of people are taking past instances of where we've seen folks that literally have unalived someone and have gone home the next day. Case in point, here's the same thing. A good explanation of it is the guy that shot the folks at doing the George Floyd thing. What's his name? The white kid that came from one part of the country to another part.
Metcalf? What? No. No.
What's his name?
It was.
Damn it, I can't think.
No. I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about.
Help me out, audience. I can't think of his name right now, but they're doing I can't think of his name right now.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah. He became like some conservative talking person now. He's talking.
Rittenhouse. Yes, there it is. Yes.
Yeah, Rittenhouse.
Thank you, Mr. Sugarlips. Okay, take for instance like Kyle Rittenhouse. Okay, Kyle Rittenhouse, for all intents and purposes, should have been in jail. Would you not agree?
Would you think? Do you think so?
Yes, he should have been in jail.
I might disagree with you as someone who actually is a concealed carry person. You know, like I understand that he wasn't where he would. Go ahead.
Can a 17-year-old get a conceal and carry permit?
Not a conceal and carry, but he was open carrying. So I was following it. Yeah.
Right. Can a 17-year-old take to put a long rifle in a car, go hunting without parental supervision?
I do not know where he was from the sticks, so I'm not entirely sure.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. If you go back and look at the laws of the states that he came from, if he was to have a firearm, just like a driver's license or a permit, he had to have parental supervision or an adult in the area. This kid came from one point A to point B. He used his weapon, but then again, the point that I want everybody to remember is he was able to walk down the street with the gun and the carry position or strapped over his shoulder after he shot someone. In this case, we have young Anthony that as soon as it happened, everybody vilified him. But Rittenhouse case, everybody tried to turn him into a hero.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard some. So a lot of people were trying to turn the Kyle Rittenhouse case into a race issue, but the person that he actually shot was not black.
And that's why it didn't work. That's why it couldn't be turned into a race issue.
Okay, yeah, I was about to say, I was like, I heard a lot of
Right.
people talking, and there was a whole, like, even the riots, and there was some riots associated with it, and I was like, this ain't even a race thing. They tried to turn it into a race thing, but then the identity of the person came out, the one who was that got shot. He wasn't even he wasn't
Yes.
black. It was a completely different issue. But
No, no,
I was
no,
following the facts of that
none
case.
of the people. Right. None of the people that that Rittenhouse shot that night was black folks. It
Right,
wasn't. It,
right.
it was. But again, this is what I'm saying with the two-tier justice system. So again, I'm not calling it out, but if you walk around, as I call it, the YouTube streets, you will see a lot of people calling out this so-called two-tier justice system, to where, okay, we see some folks of a different hue do basically the same thing, and they get a slap on the wrist. Here's another case in point of it. Being from Oakland, you know how the three strikes law gutted out a whole lot of neighborhoods. So, you agree with that?
Yes, sir. The three strikes law
Yes.
that was something different. That lasted way too
Right.
long.
Right. Even though it was intended for mostly crack dealers and drug dealers, it had a lasting and overwhelming
So
effect over every community, not only black
so
communities, white communities as well. Right.
So I will say this though. I will say this. The strikes thing was implemented very, very poorly. Like to the point where that third strike was for anything. You could steal a Snickers bar, and that third strike, it
Right.
was two felonies. It was supposed to
Anything.
be three
Right. For
felonies. Yeah,
anything.
it was supposed to be three felonies. Yeah, it turned into you might have two things on your record, and that third Snickers bar, you got 20 years after that. Now,
Right.
here's
Right. And
here's
that's
here's my counter.
absolutely crazy.
Yeah, that was super wrong. But here's my counter to that. Now, as an overcompensation for that three strikes thing, now we got people getting arrested 50, 60, 70 times. People don't like, they literally get books and they walk out the exact same day now. So we
Fair
got
point.
people who are,
Fair point.
yeah, we got people, it's just a carousel where now you can't keep them in jail. So our crime rate, like all of our downtown San Francisco is a ghost town. You can't keep a store open over there because now you'll have 30 people just walk in and then walk out. CVS, Walmart, everybody is closed down, and then you'll see people like right out front of the same store. They'll go in, steal stuff off the shelves, go outside on the sidewalk, and then sell it for half the price. And that's what I'm
You're
saying. But like,
you're absolutely right. Listen, the
so
tenderloin and yeah, you're absolutely right. Listen, I can't. There's some things I can't argue with you about. In some cases, my man, we got to do better. We
yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
have to do better. You know,
It's like
a lot
it's
of
like you
I hear.
can't.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was about to say, it's like you can't have a reasonable like expectation of the application of law, right? Like it's either one extreme or the other. At the same time, while I'm living in Oakland, um, I don't want these are our neighborhood. Like people act as though that black folks are all for all of this, like crime and all of this other stuff, just running amok all up in our cities. We gotta live here. These are the same people that are poisoning our neighborhoods. These are the same people that we don't want them here either. But they pander to black folks. Like they'll pander to black folks, and they'll get all the little district attorneys in because we vote one particular, one way every single time. And it's not just a black folks thing, it's a Bay Area thing. It's we cater to a
Yeah.
certain type of voting pattern, and because of that, they go to the extreme, and these extreme measures can kind of live in our neighborhoods. But we got to live here. We don't want to see crime. We don't want to see tent cities. We don't want to see all of this stuff in our neighborhoods. We want to be able to walk down the street and and be free and all this other stuff. But the people who are making those decisions are in the neighborhoods that police still patrol, that police still enforce the law, that police all of the other stuff, and they'll just let everybody else just kind of fend for themselves, and then we just kind of just stuck out here.
Right. Well, let's see. This is another thing right here. when folks come in here to these different chats, not knowing you, not knowing me, but they'll come in and
Sure.
type stuff like you're animals. Do I seem animalistic to you?
No, not at all. Not at
Hmm.
all.
So, so why would someone see this is what I'm talking about? Why would people come in here and because you and I are having a discussion, we might not agree on everything, but it's still a discussion.
Sure.
What would possess someone to come down into this chat room or any other place and use the word animal? Why?
Um,
For what
because they're
reason?
captured. Because they're captured on the other side, right? So they
Could that be white
they
fatigue?
um
Could I could I use that as white fatigue? Could I say I'm tired of white folks coming in here always calling black folks animals? White fatigue. I'm sick of it. Could I
no,
say
because I
that?
think no, because I think half the time they're not even white. I think you got some Asians, you probably got some Latinos. Hell, some of the time, I think they might even be black. Might even be black. Like
I agree with I agree with you. A
I
lot of
think
times it's sometimes skin folk and kinfolk.
yeah, yeah, and I think that they're not even doing it. They're not even doing it um for for to get you upset per se. I think that they're doing it just because it's like they're just trolling on some fun stuff on the
Trolling,
internet.
right.
Like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
they're just
yeah.
doing it just to troll, just to, so
And I'm wondering, EJ, if I was like a lot of these other streams, and if I said, if you wanted to see your chat, if you want to see your comment up on the screen, cash app me. You think I'd be getting this many comments?
probably
Huh?
not. Probably not. They don't want their
Cash,
attention. They don't want no real attention.
right. They don't want that. They don't want no
This is
real
the
attention.
internet. They'll,
They just right,
there you go.
right.
They'll,
But that's
somebody on the internet will track them down.
right,
But
right. So let me click on this right quick, like my man. Let me show you this, and I'm going to go back to what I was talking about earlier. Although I
sure.
know a lot of what happened to Carmelo Anthony, it's a travesty. But I'm going to lay some of the blame on his conviction to his parents. And I'm gonna show you why. Now, this guy that we're about to review here, I'm not a
I
fan of
agree with
the
you.
lead
Oh my
attorney.
goodness.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
right. I'm not a fan of the lead attorney, but he hit on something that if I was Carmelo Anthony and I was looking, Mom, Pops, get this motherfucker away from us.
Yeah.
Here, look at this. Look at this. Let me take this off the screen and let me share
Mhm.
this right quick. Like, hold on just a second. Okay, this guy, can you folks see that? EJ, can you see that on the screen there?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay, this guy, for those of you who don't know, his name is the lead attorney. Either he's a practicing or a one-time practicing attorney. So that's when I saw him saying something on it, I kind of listened to him a little bit. Again, you can go like, share, and subscribe to his channel if you want to. That's completely up to you. Again, I don't agree with a lot of things that this man says, but in this case, I want y'all to listen to this.
Extra years. You wanted me to expound on that further because you had not heard anyone make that point. Well, that's why I'm here. I'm giving you the perspective, not of a YouTuber reacting to news, but of an attorney who's practiced for more than 20 years. This is behind the scenes info. So let's get to it. Now, let me explain on how Carmelo's mother basically sentenced her own son, Carmelo, to an extra 10 to 30 more years in prison and what she can do about it now to try to fix it. I explained in my last video that Carmelo's mother apparently hired a family spokesperson, one Dominique Alexander. This Dominique calls himself a minister of justice, whatever that is. Dominique is a convicted felon. He's alleged to have beaten his girlfriend.
Now, to the Anthony parents, why in the hell In a case like this, where your kid is about to fight for his life, would you have someone like that around him or around you? You didn't think the media was going to go check this out? You didn't think the media was going to use this as a tool against y'all?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Here's, what's that's exactly right. But I think that the parents played this so wrong. Like they raised $600,000. They did. I'm not pocket watching any of that other stuff. But first of all, the people that they hired surrounding this entire thing, even their attorneys were very, very mediocre,
Second rate.
if not bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
if not bad. There were several points, like several mistakes that the attorneys made that may even work in Carmelo's favor in the end, because like they should have been objecting to certain moments, like when they were asking the witnesses, do you believe that he committed self-defense? Like that that should have been an immediate objection. Like
Objection.
they
Yeah.
didn't do that. Yeah, they didn't do that. Like there were certain points where it was just almost like misconduct on the attorney
Yes.
side. And so if that speaks to the quality of the attorney, it's like, well, what were you doing with the $600,000? If like not the bulk of that should have at least gone to the legal defense. They could have hired Brian Steele
Right.
somebody for that amount of money.
Right. The thing about this with me is, we learned about this guy 11 months ago to the Anthony family. We knew that this guy was a convicted woman beater 11 months ago. If we could find this out, don't you think the people that was going to put your son on trial was going to find that out also? And another thing, parents, and the second-rate lawyers that you had, I had a conversation with this earlier about someone. The first thing, I'm wondering why they did not ask for a change of venue.
Oh, good point. I didn't even think of that.
Why not?
I did
Another
not
thing
even
that's
think of
going
that.
around, right? Another thing going around is saying that the jury was all white. No, the jury was not all white. The jury had Latinos and
Exactly.
Asians on it.
Exactly. And what a lot of people don't know is that not only was the jury not all white, but there were 3 potential jurors that were black. But when they were asked the question if you could be impartial and potentially convict on this particular instance, they all said that they will feel uncomfortable convicting a black person.
Yes, they
So
did. Absolutely.
so
So again,
that in and of
for all
itself
of us
is
who
that's
know
it.
anything about trials and again, there's several things that I believe that the Carmelo Anthony camp can go back and try for an appeals is. But I think the biggest thing that's going to be hard to get away from is the fact, first of all, the kid admitted to doing it. And number 2, the people that you surrounded yourself with to try and defend this kid. It's going to be hard for you to get this sentence reduced at all based on the people that you put around you. Let's let him finish a little bit, then we'll continue.
And he got a new girlfriend. And when that girlfriend left out of the apartment, the good minister grabbed that woman's 2-year-old baby and shook him until that baby got brain damage. The good minister pled guilty in that case to felony charges and was in prison. Now, this is the man that Carmelo's mom chose to speak on Carmelo and the family's behalf.
Why? Why? Mama, with all that information, this baby shaker that pleaded guilty, why would you choose him to defend your son? Or to have anything to do with your son? You sealed his fate, to be quite honest with you, or partially sealed his fate. You damn sure closed a whole lot of doors. Where's Ben Crump? Where's all these other prominent lawyers? Where's all these other lawyers that all that money that you collected, you could have done to them, or like the conversation that was happening today? Ben Crump, why some of you prominent lawyers couldn't have taken this case pro bono if y'all believed that this kid was as innocent as he said, as y'all thought?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, when they hired him and I saw him get up there, none of what he said actually spoke to the facts of the case. It was all race-based kind of agitation that I saw from his side. And so whenever I see something like that, I mean, I've been around the block a few times, so I try to look
Hmm.
through all of that and look at the facts of the case, not get emotional with black versus white, because that's how you get let down. That's how you get let down, because you stop looking at the facts and you start looking at some. All he had was like racial spin and talking about, was it
Yes,
racial justice? Racial justice. There's
yes,
justice.
yes. Let me
There's
let me handle
justice.
this.
Yeah.
KD, EJ, let me handle this, sir.
Yeah, go
KD,
ahead.
whoever the fuck you are, listen. Let me tell you something. When you come in here using the word animal, go talk to your mammy, okay? Because you coming in here is living proof that Indian fuck buffalo. Now beat it. I ain't got time to play with you folks no more. Get the fuck on up out of here.
I've never heard that one before. Indian buffalo.
But go ahead, my
Never
man.
heard that one.
Speak your piece.
Yeah. So what I was saying was, there's just justice, and when your whole argument kind of hinges on this racial this racial division, I kind of you lost me. You lost me. I want to see that justice is administered properly. Period. And the fact of the matter is, if you are spending most of your time not focusing on the facts of the case and instead of focusing on everything else, that to me tells me that you don't have a case. And if you don't got a case, you might be in the wrong. You might just be in
Yeah,
the wrong if
yeah,
you don't got a case.
yeah. And in this case, again, I don't think that really that Carmelo Anthony, did he have a case of self-defense? I'll have to ask myself, and I have to give an honest opinion. Uh, yes and no. Maybe if he hadn't have used the type instrument, the knife that he used, it could have been a case of self-defense. But what I think, again, is not really as important. The jury found him guilty. And that's something
Right.
that we're all going to have to live with, whether we're black, whether we're white, whether we're brown, or whatever we come from. The fact of the matter is this kid did something wrong, and he needs to be held to bear for that. Now, we can all come in here and talk about what Derek Chauvin did, or what OJ did, or this person did,
Exactly.
or what that person did. But the bottom line to it is what I'm trying to focus on, the fact of the two cases that's right here in front of us right now today. We see definitely there's a two-tier justice system. And it's all bent on race, to where one kid could get gunned down and nothing happened. And then another kid can do something and everything happens. Taking back to you in Oakland, the Fruitvale case. What happened there, my man?
You talking about Fruitvale Station?
Yes. What happened
Because
there?
supposedly the officer thought that he had his hand on his taser, and instead of having his hand on his taser, he had his hand on his live firearm and ended up getting shot in the back.
Okay. So again, did the officer use discretion?
Well, so here's the problem with those situations is that you can't never tell whenever they say, "Oh, it was a mistake. It wasn't murder. It was just a mistake." I was supposed to have tased him instead.
And right.
Like
And that's my point.
who's in his head? Exactly. Who's in his
Right.
head? He
Right.
can say pretty much
And
whatever.
right. Right. And that is the point that I'm trying to make of this whole thing. None of us was in the mind of Carmelo Anthony. None of us. So none of us could tell that kid whether or not he felt in fear of imminent danger or bodily harm. The only person that could answer that question was Carmelo. No one
I
else.
think you got a
But
good point.
again,
I think you got a good point on that. I think, but
Right. Go ahead.
with that point, you also have to take into account whether or not, even if he didn't, he could have had a complete mental break in that moment and really genuinely felt fear for his life. But
Yes.
my argument at that same point was, would that have been reasonable? Right? Someone could step on. I got into a fight before. I got in a fight because I stepped on somebody's shoe on accident.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in that particular case, I feel like his actions were unreasonable because of
And this,
it
right. You're
was a
right.
mistake, right?
Right.
Now, if he would have
You're
escalated,
absolutely right.
even yeah, he could have easily have escalated if all it was his actions reasonable. You know, he could have taken a gun out and shot me. Oh, he stepped on my shoe. I felt threatened. I felt fear for my life. Like there's there comes a certain point where it's like, was what he did reasonable? And this kind of brings me to a conversation I was having about this. Was, I think one of the biggest things about certain cases like this is, I feel like these cases should be mandatory to be shown live in court. Like, this should have been something that we was able to. There's some camera in the back of the
Um,
corner, so we could have heard the
yes.
arguments. We could have
Another great
seen
point.
what was being seen
Absolutely.
or whatnot. Because now people are kind of speculating and getting their information secondhand because somebody else was sitting in it. You have to be filtered through their own interpretations as to what happened and what occurred and what was said, and then it gets disseminated out to us. When
Right. And
and we all just go
you're
whatever,
absolutely
but
right.
we're not the jury, right? We're not the jury. We didn't hear everything. We didn't
Right.
see everything. That kind of thing. So, like, it's a little bit. It's a little bit of a kind of a difficult situation when they don't do that. I think this should be a federal law. If it's open to the public, then it should be open to the public. Everyone should be able to see it. Like, and the camera should be
Well,
allowed.
I'm wondering. I'm wondering. That's a valid question. I'm wondering why, in this case, that there were no cameras allowed or anything of any recorded nature allowed in that courtroom. I'm wondering why.
I think judges get squeamish because it's up to the discretion of the judge, right? And so if
Yeah.
it's up to the discretion of the judge and the judge doesn't want to be on camera, or the case might be too high profile, they might decide, hey, we don't want this to become a spectacle, but it's going to be a spectacle regardless.
Yeah.
It's going to be a
Yeah.
spectacle regardless. So if at least we would have a fair shake at, like, hearing what the jury heard, seeing what the jury saw, like the pieces of evidence that were out there. Because right now, you got two people that can go into the courtroom that have two different political or two different takes as to what happened, come out and disseminate this information to their audience, and everybody still walks away with a different story. Like, you got people out there still to this day that says, oh, there was a fist, he was getting jumped, right? There was a video that got played of him being jumped by him and his twin brother. People are still saying that right now, even after the fact. And it's like, that never
Right.
happened.
Right.
That
Right.
video
No.
never
No. Right.
played.
Again, people will always go into the speculation side of things instead of doing their due diligence, their full research on things like this. That's kind of I kind of waited till after everything was said and done, because you're
Yeah,
always
yeah.
going to have those. You're going to have the what do you call them? The Monday morning quarterbacks that said, "See, I called this. See, I told you this." But from the onset, again, the location, the people involved, and the reasons that was involved told me that this kid was going to do some time. I didn't expect
Yeah,
anything different, and it wasn't
yeah.
based on a racial thing for me. It was based on what was right and what was wrong. You can't take someone's life and then think nothing is going to harm to you. You can't admit to doing something and then think it's not going to have not going to have an effect on you. Again, you can go into your Google and type in teenage killers, and a whole host of teenage killers will show up. Black,
Yes, sir.
white, Latino, or all ever. But my thing is, I'm wondering why this case was so prominent in the United States that everybody talked about it. Everybody wanted to know. Was it Is it the fact that a
I'll tell
black
you right
kid stabbed
now.
a white
I'll
kid?
I'll, t-
Right.
I'll tell you right now. That's exactly it. The only thing that makes this case is the fact that it was a black kid and a white kid. Right. That's the only time. The only reason why that other case with the Asian kid, the Asian man, and the black one is the only thing that makes those cases is because it was one race against another race, and the media
Yeah.
and I think Twitter or X or whatever, like they love it, like they love it to the point where it explodes. Because if you change Metcalf's race to a black person, this case would have never been. You would have
It would
it would have
it,
came and gone,
it would have been
and nobody would have knew nothing.
it would have been on the 6 o'clock news. They would have talked about it for how long is a news segment going? They would have talked about it for what, 15, 30, 45 seconds, and then moved on to the
And
next
moved
subject.
on and moved on. And the same with that Asian case. The only time that these cases get the light of day is when it's one race against another. Because if people really
And when
care, like if people really cared about these situations, I always say this. Like I always say, like at one point in time, I had a nonprofit that helps African Americans, with resumes, job applications, networking, so that we can all try to, like level up.
Mhm.
And there was always these arguments with other folks and people talking about issues that are affecting like our communities, and it was always talk about white people this and white people that and the government this and the government that. And I always used to tell people, the government can't write a big enough check to fix the problems in our communities. It has to come from within us. We gotta work this thing out. And so we gotta empower each other in order to do these types of things in order to make it happen. But people just kept coming back to this race thing over and over and over again. And I think that's just something that is they made it important, and so it is important, and that's all we can talk about now. Like
Right.
that's all that really
Okay.
matters. Yeah.
Right. Here's another. Before we get back to the clip, I was trying to
Mhm.
remember this guy's name, but I couldn't think of it. But remember, maybe a couple years ago, the guy named Daniel Penny, where
Yeah. Oh yeah.
the guy was on the subway making a bunch of noise. So Penny held him down, choked him out. Summarily, he died from that. Was that
Yep.
self-defense? How?
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this about that Daniel Penny
Okay.
situation. I've been on the
Okay.
train. In the Bay Area, we got what's called BART, and
Bart.
Bay
Yeah.
Area Rapid Transportation. In New
Yeah.
York, they got their own
Yeah.
subsidy system, whatever. But we got very
Yeah.
similar issues that occur on BART, where you may have overly aggressive individuals.
And
Usually, they suffer from
panhandling.
mental health things or whatnot.
Yeah.
And there have been times where one time I actually did intervene, and I didn't have to put my hands on them, but I did have to check them. I did have to check this individual. And there's other times where I just seen people just allow these people onto the train, and they harass and mess with everyone on the train. I do know that there's always just regular instances of people getting hurt or injured because of these people. And sometimes you'll sit there and you'll just let this individual, kind of do what they do, and they're going through, I don't know if it's a manic episode or whatever it may happen to be, and you just wish somebody would just stand up and make this person not be what
Yeah.
they're doing.
Listen,
So I don't
listen.
know whether or not if it was justified or not, because in the time I did have to intervene, because they were getting physical with certain people, pushing them, shoving them, and it was like an older person that they had their focus on at that point in time. It's like sometimes you do have to step up, and I hear what happened in that case, and they were threatening to kill people, and they were threatening this and that, and being overly violent. And there were some people who really did fear for their safety. Somebody
Okay.
coming along and putting them and subduing them. He did happen to die because he was in a chokehold, what have you. I don't know whether or not if that's a case where that person should have, it could have been manslaughter. I don't know, but from what it sounds like, it does sound like this person had a reasonable
Okay.
expectation that he should have intervened.
Oh, okay.
And I
So
would have
what
hoped
you
to have
just
gotten
said,
in trouble when I did.
right now, what EJ, what you just said is what I heard from a lot of people. No disrespect to that, but a lot of people said that Daniel Penny was they could use a self defense claim because the guy was on the train making a bunch of noise. Because he was screaming at him, because he was screaming at other passengers. So Penny took him down, choked him out, and the guy summarily died from it. But when you talk about the Karmelo Anthony incident, didn't these kids walk up to him saying a bunch of shit?
It's my understanding that he was asked to
Simple
leave
yes or no
about.
will do. Right, right.
So I don't know if they were talking shit. Like that's the problem. Like I don't know. I know that it got to a point where it seemed very confrontational. I don't know if there was shit talking though. I just
Okay,
didn't
well,
read the transcripts. Yeah.
okay. Well, according to what I read and to what I've heard, that this conversation started out escalated within 2 minutes. This whole thing happened. So I don't think within 2 to 3 minutes that there was very much pleasantries going on. But from what I understand, and from what I've heard is the kids walked up to him, Metcalf and the twin brother, and some other kids walked up to Karmelo Anthony, said a bunch of words. Karmelo Anthony said, "Touch me again," and find out what happens. So in between those "touch me again," there was some words exchanged. So people are saying that Karmelo Anthony should have walked away, even though he was told 15, 30 times to leave.
Yeah.
Now, same case with Daniel Penny. Is Daniel Penny right, or which one is right? Is words justified enough for self-defense, or are you supposed to wait? Are you supposed to wait until someone physically does something to you?
So in the Daniel Penning case, they were taught he was actually threatening other people though. Like that's the difference. One was, hey, this is, I mean, if I'm in high school and I'm at a track meet, the last thing that I would even imagine is if this other person had a knife and was gonna stab like that wouldn't even be nowhere, like it wouldn't register. It wouldn't register that this would have led to that. It wouldn't even have registered that this, I mean, at the most, it could have turned into a fist fight. But that's it.
Right.
In the other case, in the Daniel Penny case, you had an individual who was on a train, like so a confined area that no one can leave, and you had a person going up and down the train threatening to harm other people. That's the difference. So when someone subdues you at that point, and I guess tried to put him to sleep, but did went too hard on that and tried to subdue you.
Right.
There's a difference between his intentions and what ended up occurring versus me reaching in a bag and stabbing you in the chest. Like, so those aren't necessarily, you know what I mean? Like there's a little difference there.
I get what you're saying. Of course, there's different nuances to the situation, but both the outcomes are still the same. Someone's dead.
Yeah, you're right. So
someone's
I think
dead.
What was Daniel Penny? They were charging him with second-degree murder.
Right. Second-degree murder, and he got up on it. But the bottom line to it is, now a lot of people, again, I'll go back to this point. People were saying that Austin Metcalf and the other folks had a right to say something to the Karmelo kid. They had a right to speak to him that way.
Sure.
So
sure.
If words could be considered as a reason for you to start and invoke the I'm defending myself, shouldn't that work both ways? This is what I'm talking about, the two-tier justice system. This is what I'm talking about.
But I think that
exactly what I'm talking about.
But I think that's what Okay,
Sure,
so
there's nuances. Sure, there's subtle nuances that can be only attributed to Daniel Penny, and there's other nuances
sure,
that only can
sure,
be
sure.
attributed to Rick McConnell. But the bottom line to it is, in both instances, someone died, whether it was intentional or not. Folks say Daniel Penny did not intentionally choke the man out. Some
Right.
folks say that
I,
Carmelo Anthony did not intentionally stab the kid, but he did.
uh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So I hear what you're saying on that. Daniel Penny got off only because they overcharged him. The district attorney overcharged him
What
when
about
he
this?
tried to hit him with murder and tried to hit him with
What
a
about this?
second degree murder. Yeah, go ahead.
Right. What about this, EJ? Somebody says, Valencia says, Penny had good attorneys. Carmelo didn't. Isn't that what I'm just saying? So a good defense
I
can
mean,
be bought.
that is a point. I mean, that is a good point. When they say, the rich get away with anything, it's only because their attorneys is better than everybody else.
That's it.
They can afford to do everything that they need to do. They get out on bond so that they don't have to do the trial behind bars and all that other stuff. They not getting
Right.
drug out there in,
Right.
in
Right.
orange
Right.
jumpsuits. They look like business
So,
people and all that other stuff. So like
right.
there is a point to that. I think that if if
Right.
if if that guy if Daniel Penny's was charged properly with manslaughter, I think he would have got he would have been cooked. He would have went
I
to jail and yada yada yada. But they overcharged
I
him on that, and so that's I think that's the difference there. I mean, I, no matter how good of his attorneys is, if they would have charged him properly with manslaughter, he would have caught that one. There's no avoiding
to be
that.
honest with you, again, I'm not a lawyer, defense or prosecutor. I think
Yeah,
to me the proper charge probably should have been involuntary manslaughter or something like
yeah,
that, to where I don't think that the kid's entire life should have been. Should he have been punished? Of course. And let me get to this part of it. ABT,
yeah.
I don't know where Ben Crump is at. I don't know where Ben Crump is or the other. I call them ambulance chasers. It seems like if there's not a big enough camera around, you won't see either one of them.
Have you noticed it's
That's
like the
just my
same like 4 or 5 lawyers for like all of these high profile cases? It's like, and they
yeah,
are
yeah,
ambulance chasers. They want to be in the headlines. That's exactly what it is.
yeah, yeah,
And they're not
yeah.
very
I
good at
gotta
being a
call it
lawyer.
right. Right, I gotta call it what I gotta call it what it is. But let me play a little bit more of this here, and I gotta
Oh
get
yeah,
ready
yeah,
for
yeah.
another
Let's,
meeting here in a little bit. So let me play just a little bit more of this. And this is why I said that the parents didn't do their child any service at all. Let's go.
yes,
The
sir.
good baby shaking minister. The minister did exactly what you would expect a convicted felon to do when handling Carmelo's case. He absolutely destroyed it. How? He ostracized the most important person in Carmelo's case. Now, who is that? Is that the judge? No. Is that the prosecutor? No. The most important person alive in Carmelo's case is actually Jeff Metcalf, the father of the young man that Karmelo Anthony killed, Austin Metcalf.
And why did he say that? That's all. That's what I really wanted y'all folks to hear on that one. But why did he say that? Because throughout this trial, ladies and gentlemen, he was the father that lost the child was being ostracized. That he was this, he was that. Y'all don't think the jury was paying attention to that? Y'all don't think the jury was more sympathetic to the man who lost his child, to where the parents that decided to hire a convicted baby shaker? Now let's go back to some years ago when Botham John was killed in his apartment by an so-called off-duty police officer. What was one of the most contributing factors into her sentence? The fact that Botham John's brother came up on that stand and said, "I forgive you," and hugged the perpetrator that killed his brother.
Good point. Do you remember what her sentence was? Was she
I
convicted?
think she got Yeah, she got. I think she got like 10 years or something like that. Not very much for what she did. I don't think the sentence was fair again. But again, I think that was one of the reasons why the sentence was as light as it was, because even though Botham John's folks could have said, "I hate you. I hate the ground that you walk on," or this, that, or whatever, the man stood up in the courtroom and said, "I forgive you." And even Metcalf's father said the same thing. Already forgave the young man for what he did. Already did. Already did. Already did.
Yeah.
So again, even though we look at it, from one side and whatever side. Sometimes we look at it from the side of the victim as well as the
Yeah.
perpetrator. But sometimes we need to look at it from the overall picture of it, the whole entire picture of some of the cases that might not even affected us. How did this person get off with this person, or get off with this person and this person? Hey, Pure Butterfly, how you doing? It's simply because sometimes the person that was hurt showed grace, showed mercy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
I mean, I get it. I get it. His father was a better person than I was, because I don't know if I could
yeah,
have done that.
right.
I don't know if a lot of people
I,
could have
I
done
don't know.
that.
I listen. That would have you listen. I'm with you on that one, EJ. There would have been a trial. You're right. There would have been a trial. It would have been mine, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would have been mine. It would have been mine.
Yeah, I hear
Yeah,
you.
Your Honor. Well, Mr. Music. Why did you do it? You ain't got to ask that question. You know why I did it.
Yeah, I'm not even
No,
sure
I
if there
don't
would
think
have
so.
been a trial. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah,
I'm about to
there's a
say
certain point where you might have
you
to.
got you got a plea deal that you could throw at me right quick. Like, ain't no sense of wasting the taxpayer money. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
but
yeah,
EJ,
and
I'm gonna go ahead, sir. I'm gonna give you the
oh, no,
last
no,
word. Then
no.
I
I
got to
was
get out of here. I got to get back to a
I,
meeting here
I,
in
I
just
was
a little
just,
bit.
I was gonna say, yeah. In that particular case, there's some things where it's just you just gotta own up to it. And if I did it, and it had something to do with my family, yeah, just go ahead and give me what you gonna give me. I
Yeah,
hope you understand.
that's it. Right. Everybody else might get a pass, but if you hurt one of mine, you got to know. If I'm so petty as if you leave me a nasty grab on my stream, you don't think I'm gonna come after you?
Exactly.
I don't care if I got it.
Exactly.
I don't care if I got to get in a wheelchair. I don't care if I got one leg, one arm, or whatever. You hurt one of mine, I got
You
to
got
get
to
you.
get it. You got to get
Especially,
it, and
yeah, yeah, especially if
with
it's my
no
blood child.
regrets.
Oh none,
Exactly. With no
none,
regrets. Hold your head
none.
up high.
You remember the movie? I don't know if you've ever seen this or not. I don't know, The Law Abiding Citizen with Jamie Foxx and
Yeah.
I forgot the other name.
No,
But
I
you
know what
see
you're talking about.
right. You see the extent and the length that he went to.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
do the same. I
If
would do the same.
I think
Yeah.
one of the reasons why that movie is so memorable, because I think there's a lot of people, even on this call. I think there's a lot of people. If you There's certain things worth going to jail for,
And that's one of them.
worth going to prison
To
for.
me, right. You hurt my child. And fortunately, my parents, well, I won't say fortunate like that, but you can't hurt my parents anymore because both rest their soul, they're both gone. But if you did something to my parents, I'm not even
Yeah.
saying my brothers and sisters, but if you hurt one of them, but if you do something to my parents or my children, there's no jury in the world that's gonna say what guilty. No, I'm not gonna give you time for that. Yeah, I am. And I'm just gonna sit on the front step and wait for the police to show up. You ain't got to
Exactly.
hold me down. You ain't got to get none of that. You're not gonna get nothing yet. He in there laid out. He in there laid out. There's some things that they say forgive and forget. I'm not going to forgive or I'm not going to forget because I'm going to be relishing while I'm spending my time in prison, even if it's the rest of my life, the fact that I took you out for harming my children. I'm going to pat myself on the back every day about that. Every day. Now with that, EJ, let me let you give you the last word there, brother, and I got to run on up out of here. Got to go and meet.
Last word. Yes, sir. Last word. It's not going to take too long. I just want to go ahead and thank you for letting me up on the platform and saying what I got to say. That's all I got.
I
Appreciate it.
appreciate you there. It's always good for the folks to come up and have a dialogue with me. And again, anytime that folks want to come up and I drop the link, as long as you're respectful, we can have these kind of conversations, as you saw with me and EJ here. We can agree to disagree, or we can agree or disagree, but still, we weren't up here calling each other, you know what, names.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate it. Yeah.
So
Appreciate the
I
discourse.
appreciate you too. I appreciate you, other folks. If you don't mind, like, sharing, subscribing. For any of you that has channels down there, I'll give you a minute to drop it in the particular streams there. I'm not on YouTube right now, so I can't go and give some of you folks some wrenches, as they call them. But when I go back on later on, I see a few folks in there that I want to give a wrench to. EJ, make sure you type something in the chat room, so when I see you from now on, I'll see your name in blue, if you don't mind. And with that, folks,
Yes,
remember, regardless of what you believe, what happened in this Karmelo Anthony case, you have to look at the totality of everything. To me, there is a two-tier justice system. And sometimes, regardless of what side that you end up on, I think a lot of people in this country feel that way. A tragic situation all the way around. A kid lost his life. He'll never be able to see, never be able to go to college, never be able to see his parents or his children or whatever. But there's no greater thing than losing your life. So my condolences go out to the Metcalf family. And also my condolences go out to the Austin, to Karmelo Anthony's family, because y'all lost effectively, you lost your child.
Yep, they
He
both
might be
lost children.
he might still be alive, but you both lost your children. And that's bottom line to that. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'll just say this. Remember, the grace of day costs you absolutely nothing. Say hello to someone. Might change the way they're thinking, might change the way they're living. You never know. If you walk past them and don't say hello, try it. You just might like it. Appreciate it, L Boogie, Shar, EJ, ABT, and all you other folks that showed up again. Hey, if you're still in here, remember, I got something that I want to cover with you, and we'll get to that a little bit later on. But with that, folks, y'all have a good day, and thank you so very much for taking the time out of your day to listen to me.
All right.
Look, all you motherfuckers been snitching for him and shit. Well, now you standing up in here and goddamn it talking about preaching preacher. Fuck that nigga. Fuck that. I'm gonna shoot your ass too, motherfucker. Keep on. You gonna get shot too, nigga. You gonna get shot. God bless the fool, goddammit. God bless the fool. Now, I'm gonna tell y'all something. I'm gonna end this goddamn thing. Look, where's that goddamn money bowl at? Who got that money bowl? We're taking that money right now before you leave this bitch. We ain't leaving out here for free, motherfucker. Yeah. Y'all know the motherfucker ain't no good. You want, look,